You're watching the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network. Now it's time for the Brent and Austin Show.
Well, what a scene there for Jalen Hurts as he's part of that 2020 draft class that includes Joe Burrow, Jordan Love, Justin Herbert, Tua Tagovailoa, and he's got a Super Bowl and a Super Bowl MVP. Of course, Burrow has been there before as well, and who knows, those other guys might have a chance. That's a good class, but good for Jalen Hurts. He's just a steady dude, doesn't get a lot of love and shine on that Eagles team, but he's a winner, and everybody's always talked about his leadership ability. And he played well on Sunday night, much better, by the way, than Patrick Mahomes. And, of course, it looked like he had the better team around him, too. And there's nothing wrong with that. Hey, everybody, football season is over. That's it. And what a dud to end it. That was not a good game. That was kind of at best. But if you're an Eagles fan, you loved it. If you're a Chiefs hater, you loved it. And there were probably a lot of both. If we think about those two things combined, we were just waiting for Mahomes and the Chiefs to figure things out, and they just never could figure things out. Brent Martineau here, Austen Lane in South Florida. We'll check in with him in just a moment throughout the show, as I think he'll be back later this week as well before we get ready for the fight stuff happening sometime in the next month or so. Jason Hamby here as well. So a lot going on with the Jacksonville Jaguars in the last month or so, and now we start to really think, okay, how do the Jags do this? We kind of wonder anyway. We do that all the time. Like, how do they get to there? They've still got one major hire, and really the MVP of the Philadelphia Eagles is their GM. And that doesn't happen for everybody, but the MVP of the Eagles is Howie Roseman. I mean, no doubt. Look at what they've done. Look what they've built. And they are clearly the best-built team in the National Football League. And we've been saying that even though they haven't won. So how big of a hire is this GM, where interviews will start and at least the first round will get going this week? 6 candidates, maybe seven, including Ethan Waugh. And now the Jags have to find the right guy. Can you find the next superstar GM? Because you know what the Chiefs did, and Veach is very good too, and he shouldn't lose any luster here. He's been awesome ever since taking that title in 2017. But Howie Roseman really is the best in the game over the last decade, and now they've won 2 Super Bowls, been to another, and built a roster that looks like it could stay there for quite some time. So that's what's on the Jags plate. YB 400, good morning. Liam Cohen up next. Are we? Are we? We'll see. It seems like such a mountain to climb when you see this game and watch this game. But can they do it? And I feel like it's almost nice that somebody else other than the Chiefs have done it instead of the Chiefs three-peating. Although it feels like the Chiefs roster is more attainable than the Eagles roster on a whole. But it also feels like Reed and Mahomes, at least they looked human last night, because that is not attainable, honestly. Like, you cannot go into any season, any build of a team and think, okay, we got those 2 guys. That's ridiculous. So at least the Eagles, it looks like it's more attainable if you really get it right in the roster. And you don't have to be as good as they have been. They have to get lucky too, right? Injuries have to add up and things have to really work out. But you have to get close to that. Because at the end of the day, the talent wins, and that team was just better than the Chiefs. They whooped up on them, just whooped up on the Chiefs, beat them up. And can the Jags get there with their roster build? How far away are they is going to be now the burning question, not just for the Jags, but for the other teams in the National Football League along the way. Hope everybody had a good weekend. It's interesting to think of. We'll get obviously a lot more Super Bowl talk coming up, but interesting to think for me right now in our world. We got the guys today at Players Championship Media Day over at TPC Sawgrass. Might check in for them. It was a year ago that we checked in with them on our opening show of this project here, and the reunion, if you will, of the Brent and Austin Show and the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network. But Players Championships around the corner. We've got college softball started this week. College baseball starts this week. We've got high school baseball for real starts tonight. Preseason softball starts tonight. We've got high school basketball tournaments. We've got high school soccer tournaments in the postseason. So the winter is finishing up. We've got obviously the Icemen doing their thing right now in town. What we got? We got college basketball on the verge of a big couple weeks as we head toward March Madness, and the Florida Gators got a big win over Auburn, #1 team in the country. They look super legit. Yeah, Mr. Hugo, pitchers and catchers report at the end of this week. So Major League Baseball season is on the horizon, which means The Shrimp are on the horizon, too, around here locally. We've got the Daytona 500 this week, so we'll have a lot of that. And we'll be down in Daytona a couple times this week and, of course, on Sunday for the 500. What a cool time of year. We were at UNF last week, and they talk about it when the winter season meshes with the spring season. And I didn't mention all the sports, but that's like the busiest time, that window, this couple of weeks. Well, it's kind of like that for us, too, especially since the players moved up to March. So you've got these huge events, obviously Super Bowl, Daytona, and then Players' Championship. And it could be a really fun March Madness around here, too, this year because the Gators are just really good. You either like the Gators or you don't. That's fine. But they are legit good. We've been saying that all year, and there's a lot to like. And then Glenn just said FSU may have top prospect in Jamie Arnold. They have a good team. They've built a good team. They've got a lot of locals on that team, which gets me interested even more so. And then the Florida baseball team thinks they're good. Florida softball team's number one in the country. You see the freshman that they brought in. She's hit 5 home runs in 6 games. I mean, they're legit. So we got stuff. Really, it's a fun time of year. And even though football season ends, is my point. I know we are so heavy football. We get so heavy football. It's always football. It's always going to be football. We'll still talk the combine. I got booked the combine today, in fact. We get the combine coming up 2 weeks from today and tomorrow and this week. It's a long week, of course, but everybody will head to Indianapolis. Boom, just like that. Jack's still got to hire the GM. So we just got this like potpourri of things coming up over the next, I would say, month or so that blends it all together. And in between all that is the new league year and then free agency, which happens right about that time. What decisions will the Jags make? We'll actually hear from Evan Engram today. Could he be a guy that sticks around? He certainly was talking like it yesterday when we caught up with him, so we'll hear from him. But love this time of year, though. It's awesome. Like, you got a little bit of everything, and not everything is going to kind of be a talking point on our show all the time. But it's great to acknowledge all the different things that we have going on. We show a lot of that on the TV side as well, especially this high school stuff, and get some good high school action in there. So plenty of topics, and we'll always invite you if you like a topic or you want to talk about a topic. We don't mind doing that. We probably won't spend 20 minutes on a certain thing, but we certainly love talking about all the different sports and different things going on around the world of sports. And, oh, by the way, like the NBA just had a huge week with all the trades going on, and Dallas lost that trade again because Anthony Davis is now out for a couple of weeks. Did you see that? That dropped like last night during the Super Bowl. Good news drop. That was a good news drop idea. Let's check in with Austen Lane. Is he down there in South Florida? We got him? Yeah, we do. Oh, yeah. I don't know if he's got his mic on. We got him? We can't hear him, Hamby. Take him off my screen. I didn't know. Did he have soccer? That was like a UFC soccer shirt. It looked like on. I thought he was like sporting his favorite football team for a second.
No way.
And that said UFC. And then it looked like a soccer jersey. A kit.
Ooh.
Soccer kit. James, yeah, we got JU West Virginia, UNF Notre Dame baseball this weekend. How good is that, right? I mean, you love so if you like all the different sports, and obviously we're big baseball, softball in our house, and we know a lot of the folks in the area that do that too. Speaking of, we've got no gate fees starting on Wednesday. That's a 2 o'clock start. Oh, mic check. Yeah, just interrupt my show with a mic check.
Oh, my bad, man. I'm just trying to get on the show. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I know a lot of people are.
We got some difficulties back here, I guess, going on.
What are you wearing?
Oh, it's just like the UFC fight kit, they call it, or whatever. It's just like a fight jersey.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
It does have a soccery feel to it.
It's got a little bit like a soccery kind of like vibe, I guess you would say, yeah. But it's kind of like the official uniform, of like the UFC. So this is what we get before every single fight.
Okay. All right. So you have a collection of those?
Yeah. Just from the guys that I've cornered, then the fights myself, I got about 6 or 7 of them.
Oh, wow. Okay. Good deal.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, that game sucked.
Yeah, super disappointing. I almost had deja vu back to when it was Tampa Bay versus Kansas City. And it was like Tom Brady versus Patrick Mahomes. And that game kind of shook out the same way, where it wasn't like Brady went out of his mind. I think it was Leonard Fournette, obviously, at the time. Like, he didn't rush his ass off or anything. It was more of just the Kansas City offensive line couldn't do anything. And we saw that again last night. So it's kind of crazy how history repeats itself a little bit, but definitely kind of a disappointing game, to say the least. Obviously, Mahomes was not comfortable there, and it goes to show you, doesn't matter how great of a quarterback you are, how great of a play call you have as a coach. If you can't block, if you can be comfortable in the pocket, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, it's totally that. You can't overcome that. It doesn't matter what kind of quarterback you are. I mean, maybe you get a Lamar Jackson who can do a little bit more because of his ability to scoot and the way he does. But like Jalen Hurts runs, he couldn't overcome if the line was that bad because he's not fast, right? So Mahomes can run, but he's not fast, and you're not escaping that. And I mean, it was amazing. I mean, they couldn't do anything, and they never blitzed. You believe that? They never blitzed in the game. They just beat them with the front four. They've built that front four. We knew the front was good. You talk about the trenches. This was one for the trenches. Once again, I mean, if you're a build the trenches guy, which we're hoping here in Jacksonville, that's the way they're talking, Baselli and Liam Cohen. This was one for you better build the trenches, but you better get it right.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely building the trenches, but also keep in mind, to me, it all came down to who they drafted, right? And it all came down to addressing concerns. Say what you want last year about the Philadelphia Eagles. I truly think there were some injuries behind the scenes. I think Jalen Hurts is more hurt than people let on during that, kind of like that downfall last year. But what did they need? They needed cornerback help, right? So they go after Quinion Mitchell. They go after Cooper DeJean. Two guys who, some people were saying, oh, they drafted too high. They kind of reached for those guys. Didn't really matter because they needed cornerbacks. And they took possibly the best two cornerbacks in that entire draft class. So it's not a reach if you try to get your draft needs, and the Eagles did, and it looks like, Quinion Mitchell came out right away in the season, looked like the real deal. Cooper DeJean eventually got worked in there as well, but both those guys were a big part of why I feel like this team was who they were, and obviously Cooper DeJean last night, I think, was the nail in the coffin. Once he had that pick six, to me, the game was over.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly. Well, I don't know if we truly believed the game was over, but it worked out that the game was over. Because you kind of just
the game was over once Cooper DeJean had the pick six. I think.
Yeah. Well, if not, then Zach Bonds made it that way shortly after. But you bring up a really good point because I have no problem admitting I wondered this. I didn't say this. I just wondered this aloud during the draft process. When you have two corners picked in the top 40 of the draft, and they're both by the same team, who, quite frankly, going into the draft, were heavy on that need position and almost desperate to get cornerbacks. That's what, at least it was presented like that. I wondered aloud on this show. I was like, did they just go grab corners because? Or are they really good? Because the rest of the league was like, hey, don't worry, we need all these other things. We're not touching the top corner or the second top corner until pick number 42 or whatever it was, where they're after that they went on a run of corners, I think, in like the mid-second round. So I just thought it was really interesting the way that shook out, and I think I'm correct on that. I think they were the only two corners taken in the top 40 picks, and they both went to the Eagles. Of course, they got the two best corners in the draft because the Eagles have gotten a little lucky here during this run, but they've also made every right decision when it comes to the first round and second round and the puzzle pieces of what they need. The other thing that sticks out to me here, Austin, when you take a look, there's really two big things for me on the Eagles outside of all the things we know. One of them is when you have the construction of a team, this goes back to any time we talk about situations. Where do you end up, right? I always say that Russell Wilson, if he ended up in Jacksonville, he would never have been the Russell Wilson he was in Seattle. The Jags weren't ready for that, built like that, there to help him out like that. So it was a great situation to go to Seattle, blend right in, figure it out, get help around you, and then you take off and grow in your own game, and you don't have to do it, boom, just like that. So that's one thing. Well, these guys land in a situation where you're right. Cooper DeJean doesn't have to come in and perform right away, but he does blend into the mix. And then when you don't have to worry about all the other things going on, or you don't have to be the greatest guy on the team because you were the 22nd pick or the 40th pick, well, you can now just do your role and be your part and kind of gently get into your NFL career. That's what these situations allow these guys to do, in my opinion, Austin, because here in Jacksonville, you need that guy to make an impact right away. Look, we're going to get a number 5 pick in Jacksonville this year if they hold on to that spot. That guy's going to have to make a difference in 2025, most likely, for this team to be as good as you want them to be. I don't think they needed Quinion Mitchell and Cooper DeJean to be all-pro level guys or Pro Bowl level guys or look amongst the elite in year one. I think they were able to find themselves doing that way because of everything else around them. It's such a good situation to land in, and I think those things still continue across the league. If you can find your spot as a young player in a good situation, then you've got a way better chance of being successful.
Yeah, I mean, it's all about the environment of which you find yourself in, right? I think it helps playing in a Vic Fangio defense. I think it helps, in terms of he sets those players up for success. And I think we kind of had the same conversation when both those guys were drafted, like you said, in the top 40 or whatever, where they don't need them both to be Pro Bowlers or all pros. If you can draft two guys in the top 40 and one of those corners can give you starting reps, one of those corners you can put on the one or two and not have to worry about it, well, then you're doing something for the rookie year. It just turns out that, with injuries and everything as well, they both got in and they both dominated and they both contributed. And once again, that's just a testament to GM. That's a testament to drafting. And make no mistake about it, like, it's not just the drafting as well that we saw from the Eagles. We saw in free agency. Zach Baum was a guy that, was just kind of a journeyman, if you will, around the NFL. It was kind of a misfit, didn't really know how to put him. They bring him to Philly. Vic Fangio loves him. And now look at him. All pro, making interceptions in the Super Bowl. And it just goes to show you, like, that's the key right there, Brent. And that's the difference between what we have here in Jacksonville and what they have here in Philly, or what they have there in Philly. Because you look at a guy like Saquon Barkley, look at how much money he's making. We're paying Gabe Davis the same amount of money. Who's producing more for their team? Probably Saquon Barkley, right?
No,
in terms
probably.
of probably a little bit, right? And then in terms of those free agent signings, right? Like we signed Eric Armstead, we signed Ronald Darby, we signed Darnell Savage, and we were excited for those guys because they're coming from winning tradition, programs and everything. But then we see a guy like Zach Baum, who, I'm not gonna lie, was really on nobody's radar, become an all-pro. Should have been maybe in the running for Defensive Player of the Year. Off of essentially just, hey, let's take a chance on him. So you see what happens when you have great GM, showcases. You see what happens when the defensive coordinator and the GM and everybody works hand in hand, and you see what happens when there's a chain of communication, what you can do. And I'm going to be honest, like, yeah, I said it myself. I thought the Eagles were by far the more talented team. I just thought the better coach, the better quarterback was gonna win last night. And man, I was wrong, because you can't deny just how talented that Eagles team is.
I just too much to overcome. And by the way, they said they didn't. I saw Travis Kelce say they didn't do anything they didn't expect. Well, then they just weren't good enough. Like, if they didn't outsmart them or for what. Now, you never usually admit that after a game anyway. But I mean, they just bullied them. They beat them up. They were just better. I mean, they're clearly the better roster and the better football team. And it looked right from the jump that they had I said somebody, I think we're watching the sports office. I was like, holy cow, they must have had one hell of a pep talk Saturday night. Because, I mean, you just could tell the way they came out. They looked like they were playing at a different level right from the jump. And part of that is because they are probably better in a lot of positions, like we said last week going in, and everybody in America said going in. I mean, they really are better in every position other than the two, coach and quarterback, and that's true. But when you're better in every other spot, it helps. The other part of this that I think is really impressive, and you just said something that's very true. There's two other things the Eagles have, and Howie Roseman, drafting is one thing. And then you just said it, free agency. But I would call it free agency in coaches and players. And then I'd also say you got the kahunas to make some moves. And this is a team that I've said this for a while. I don't think teams, when they think they're good, then they think they're pretty good in the NFL, they don't stay aggressive. They're like, hey, we're pretty good. We're built this way. We don't need to go get X guy or do this. They, a couple years ago, went and got A.J. Brown. Did they need to necessarily at the time get A.J. Brown? I don't know. I don't think so. They didn't need to get that caliber of player. They did. They went and got a star. They go get Saquon Barkley. Did they need to? Well, they were light on running back, but there are a million running backs. You don't have to pay $13 million to a guy who's been banged up and take that risk and chance. You've got a good football team no matter what. You can easily just sit there and say, we got a good football team. We're good enough to win the whole thing just like this, even if we just add a running back. And they don't do that. Is my point. They don't. They just go get it. And I'm telling you, this organization down here, at least over the years that I've covered, they wouldn't have the kahunas to do that. They don't do that. Like, I've never seen that. And I don't know if you have to be aggressive and not stand pat. And I think that's something we're going to really wonder here in the next month. Are they going to be aggressive, or are they going to run it back? Are they going to be like, yeah, we're set here. We can do better with this. Or are they going to go get some more blue chip players and figure that out, whether that's free agency or the draft, identify those guys. But all the blue chippers the Eagles already have, they just say, go get me more. That's why I equate them to the Dodgers. They're a lot like the Dodgers. The Dodgers say, yeah, we got 5-6 guys. Give me 7 or 8 in the rotation. We'll figure it out. Like those organizations that do that and just say, we're going to just keep getting better and better and better, even though we think we're already good and good enough, they don't stop. So I give the mentality of that a lot of credit because I don't think that's the norm in organizations. I really don't, to go stack a team like that and figure it out. They do. But the other part of it really struck me. I don't know why it struck me in the broadcast, Austin, more than anything else. It's just how much they've rated other teams and the guys that they have brought in have produced so handsomely. Obviously, Saquon Barkley's the biggest one. But then you do get a guy like Bond, who's a special teams guy. You're not wrong there. Go look up his career. It's a special teams guy. And they made him into an all-pro by bringing him in. The right move. Guess what? The Saints stink. The Giants stink. Guess who else stink? The Jets stink. Mekhi Becton, I know he's been in and out his whole career. He's had his own issues. He goes and helps them win. Another one. They get it done. I already brought up A.J. Brown. Titans. They're not great. Guess what? They stole him from the Titans in that trade years ago. And then I'll go take, you go get Kellen Moore, who, by the way, is a head coach this cycle, who could have easily been a head coach in Dallas all those years, was rumored to be, interviewed a bunch of different teams. And I'm not sitting here praising Kellen Moore like he's the greatest thing ever, but he had opportunities to go to a lot of different places. People didn't hire him. The Chargers had him. They get a new regime coming in, but they don't keep him. And the Eagles are like, sure, we'll take the guy that's interviewed 7 times for a head coaching job to be our offensive coordinator. And then, we'll go get Vic Fangio, by the way, too, because we kept Sirianni, but we need new coordinators. Well, Fangio's always been known as one of the best defensive coordinators in the game. And they go put very good coaching with very good talent, and look what happens. And one more mention here about the Jags. I don't know Doug Peterson's relationship with a guy like Fangio, but he could have got him. We went and got Ryan Nielsen here. I mean, maybe you could go get Fangio. Maybe you tried. I can't remember the whole cycle of all that stuff, but I think I vaguely remember him rumored here for, I don't know if he ever did an interview, but that's what the good teams do. I mean, Miami, by the way, said, we can't win with Fangio. No? Look, the Eagles can. So I just think it's a tremendous job of building a roster, and everybody loves to play GM in this fantasy football world. We all think we're so smart in how to do this. I think it's a hard deal to do, to get the right mix of players, to manage everything, personalities, backgrounds, talent, cap space, all the rest of it, when you pay guys, when you don't pay guys, when you let them go. It's a tough thing. This dude's got it figured out, man. I mean, that organization, everything they do feels like it's working. And I know everything they've done hasn't worked, but it certainly feels like their hit rate now is about 80%. And it led to last night. It's almost like, how do you not win a Super Bowl if I just say all the things that they've done right? And so it's almost good to see that pay off in the biggest of ways.
And listen, it's funny because I feel like through the whole playoffs and maybe this entire season, I feel like Sirianni's kind of been the afterthought, right? Like we celebrated Dan Quinn a lot because look at how he turned Washington around. Right, we always celebrate Andy Reid because look what he's done with this roster with a lot less talent, it seems like, than most years. You know, I guess we kind of celebrate Sean McDermott a little bit. Can they finally get over the hump? But lost in this, I feel like, is Sirianni, who never really gets the flowers like he deserves. But I think, and I get it, maybe he's not the biggest like X's and O's guys. Yeah, he's got the tush push and everything, but like on the grand scale, we're not celebrating, I feel like, the football prowess of Nick Sirianni. But what I think needs to be mentioned about him is to take all those personalities, to take some of that ego and to kind of show him the Eagles way. I mean, I'm not sure how many guys could actually do that. And I think it's a testament to him because, like, for instance, Jalen Carter, and Hamby can speak on this. I'm not sure if Jalen Carter goes to every single team in the NFL if he immediately bolsters them up and becomes, like an all-pro like he is. Like, I think Jalen Carter had to go to the right situation. And yeah, he was probably the best player of that draft class. And yeah, he fell. But I feel like going to that locker room with the Eagles, who have so many veterans, who have so many guys who know how to do things the right way. And then Sirianni, who's just, and listen, I don't know him personally. I haven't even really seen a lot of behind the scenes videos of Sirianni, but I just feel like he kind of lets the players be themselves. And then when he has to, kind of interject, he'll interject. but it seems like they like playing for him, So like that can't be lost on this whole year, up to the Super Bowl, where man, you had a lot of talent, yeah, and it looks great on paper, but you still have to rally that said talent and make sure they're all on the same page. And I think Sirianni did a fantastic job of doing that.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, listen, it's again this guy, and he's awkward from the outside looking in.
He tindered up last night post game though.
Yeah, I think he's. Yeah, I think he handled this whole thing well. And listen, he was on the hot seat. I'm almost starting to think, this ran through my mind. It's like, get on the hot seat, win a Super Bowl. I mean, Coughlin did it like 2 times. Sirianni has done it. I mean, it gives you some edge.
Should have brought Doug Peterson back.
Well, I mean, it gives you edge, right? It makes you still thirsty, hungry for all that. Some of that stuff that maybe sometimes you have to reignite or lock in or focus or fight back in the corner, all that kind of stuff. I don't know. It's just maybe a human nature psychology thing. But at the end of the day, this guy's, I think, somewhat of a quirky dude is probably the right way to say it. But the guys love him. They react to him. We've seen that. We've talked about that for months and months now, even when we might bring Sirianni up. I think what is interesting about that is we might have something like that here in Jacksonville. We might have that. I think the early look here in Jacksonville is going to be very Dan Campbell, Sirianni-like from the outside looking in because of the press conference with Cohen, right? And nobody really knows who he is. And so that quirky part now, but does everybody here embrace it the way they've embraced Sirianni in Philly and Detroit and Campbell? And by the way, the world is Campbell won over the rest of the country too, like sooner or later. But it took a little bit. That's my point. So I guess it can be done in a variety of ways. And Sirianni, which, by the way, the folks in Indianapolis when he was there say great things about Sirianni, and they always did. It just doesn't always look great for people like us that pop in from like once a month or whatever it is. But if you're there day in, day out, it might have a different feel to it in Philadelphia. And it worked, of all places, in Philadelphia, man. I don't think, and we're not alone, but Sirianni was not always the favorite guy in Philadelphia for Eagles fans. Like, that's a reality.
Yeah. But I'm going to say this, though, with Sirianni, because I think the similarities between, well, because you mentioned Cohen as well, right? We didn't really know who these guys were. We just had to go off the press conferences. I think Sirianni and Campbell are more ingrained with grit, where it's more of like, is it the X's and O's? Not necessarily. I get more of the culture building. I get more of the, we're going to bust your ass in practice kind of vibe from those two. With Liam Cohen, it's more of the cerebral assassin, right? It's not necessarily maybe so much grit that he purveyed in the press conference, at least his introductory press conference, but it's more of just like the X's and O's. It's more of just the communication and the plan. And I'm not saying which one's right, which one's wrong. I'm just saying, I think there's a big difference between what we saw from Cohen maybe and what we've seen from guys like Nick Sirianni and Dan Campbell.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think they're their own guys. They're different than, but I think we also have this persona of a football coach, right? We got the Belichicks and the Sabans and the Coughlins of the world, and that's kind of like our view of, well, that's what a championship coach looks like. And well, I think that's changed a little bit. Sirianni gets one. Obviously, McVay, what he's been able to do, that's a different animal. The way that's not under the Coughlin, Belichick, Saban kind of, this is how we play football. We only talk football, and that's it, right? I mean, there's just different ways to do it now. Like Tomlin falls under that. The Harbaughs kind of fall under that, especially John Harbaugh. Obviously, Andy Reid's his own guy in that sense. So I think what we've learned, though, if you take all those things into the big picture, there are different ways to do it. I mean, listen, we've had one of the nicest guys in the world win a Super Bowl before, Tony Dungy. Nobody will ever say like a bad thing about the guy. And he doesn't come off as like this Saban-esque or Belichick football guy. Was able to win a Super Bowl. So, yeah, I think there's different ways to do it. Different personalities win it at that highest level, which is a good thing, which is kind of a nice thing to see, and especially in this new wave. So we'll see. Listen, we're going to obviously equate everything back to Jacksonville. But it does seem like the Eagles and Jags are on different planets right now, which ironically so, they almost beat them. This year, which tells you about the NFL, and they were down 22-0, but they almost beat them, and it was just a mistake at the end of the game.
Yeah, I remember watching that game last night, Brent, thinking the exact same thing, like, man, I can't believe the Jaguars almost beat this team. But then number two, I was just thinking of, like, when you look at the Eagles' depth on defense, and it seemed like everyone was making plays, it's just like, man, I feel like the Jaguars are still a couple years away from getting to that level, right? Like, yeah, the Jaguars have some playmakers, but not top to bottom, right? And it seemed like everyone last night for the Eagles, whether it was a starter, a backup, secondary, defensive line, every level of that defense last night was flying around and making plays.
Yeah, which
And
they knew what they were doing.
We haven't really seen that a lot here in Jacksonville.
Well, because they knew what they're doing, right? I mean, they're not only good players, but that means you're comfortable in your scheme, you're comfortable in your game plan, you're comfortable in all that. You were on the same page. And then once it starts working, you build confidence, right? I mean, there's nothing to adjust. They never had to adjust. I mean, they ran 4 guys at them the whole time, and they dominated. That helps. That certainly helps. And that takes all the pressure off. Like, there was no pressure on Philly, 10 minutes into the game, because all the pressure was off and then squarely on the Chiefs. So the Eagles are champs 40-22. Let's take a timeout. Brent and Austen Show on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network as we get a lot of things going on here in the sports world, but football season does come to an end. What about the Jags coaching staff now that it's over? It came out after our show on Friday. What did you think about it? It's not as young in totality, I think, as we've been saying. Some of their prime positions are. They definitely have an experience, but they go back and add some experience too. What's your take? We've got some thoughts in the chat about the GM stuff. We'll catch you up on where that is and where it's headed. And, we got a beautiful day at TPC Sawgrass. Is there ever a bad day at TPC Sawgrass? Probably not. It can get windy in March. Oh, we got half backwards Marcel Robinson. He looks the part. He's got tea in the mouth, and he's got ball in the water. That's what happens when you're wearing a red glove, man. Put the Georgia Bulldogs down for a day. Red glove, black polo shirt. Fellas, trying to defend the golden typewriter. They cheated big time last year. Can they do it again? We'll find out at Players Championship Media Day. Throughout the day, we'll take you live over there to TPC Sawgrass. When it's time to get a new car for anyone in your family, just remember, nobody but Nimnick, the #1 Buick GMC dealer in Jacksonville. Get the latest price breaks on 2023 and 2024 models or the newest 2025 vehicles in the showroom on Phillips Highway, or shop online at NimnickBuickGMC.com 24 hours a day. GMC Sierras, Yukons, and the redesigned Acadias, or get the all-new redesigned line with Buicks. It's nobody but Nimnick, and part of the reason why is this is a first-class buying experience here at Nimnick Buick GMC. You're not just a customer, you're a friend. This is about getting a vehicle that best fits you and getting you on the road, and also helping you and your family down the road. Nimnick has a treating you right guarantee, courtesy, respect, fairness, and most Buicks, GMCs, and Jacksonville's only Car Bravo dealer, nobody but Nimnick. Who has put in the most years and stands behind a better experience? Nobody but Nimnick. GMC, we are professional grade.
2024 provided plenty of memorable moments for the Jacksonville Armada on the pitch, including another conference championship game appearance for Tommy Krasanovich's under-23 men's team.
It's in the dying moments.
Debuting this year for the first time, the girls in blue, as the Armada fielded a women's under-23 side in the WPSL and made its presence known with some highlight moments.
Potential goal of the season.
Then attention turned to the future, with MLS Next teams representing the Armada badge in 3 age divisions this fall, including an under-19 squad ranking among the best in the state. Those teams are a big focus on Fleet and Footy, covering the big soccer stories each week on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network.
I'll put one in the back of the net for you.
Join us for player profiles, fun interviews, and the very latest on the Fleet and all things footy. That's every Thursday at 2 p.m.
I've been telling you about CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing for a long time now. Their drinking water systems remove up to 99% of contaminants. We've had a Connecticut water softener and drinking water system in our home for more than 7 years. You can see the difference whether you're washing clothes, the dishes, or what I like to do most, fill this up for some coffee every morning, and mostly all day. Remember, if you're not filtering your water, you are the filter. Don't be the filter. Right now, you can save $500 on a Kinetico Premier Softener and get a free Kinect Salt Monitor with purchase. The experts at CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing will test your water for free and determine your water score. Don't know your water score? CGC will find out and recommend the appropriate Kinetico water treatment solutions so you can improve it. Call 904-552-1242 or visit cgcwater.com. Ask about our 90-day love it or leave it guarantee. CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing, an authorized independent Kinetico dealer. Florida license number CFC 1432579.
There's a saying in sports, you can't win them all, but you can win a lot with good folks on your team. Like that one painter, First Coast. It's tough to beat the sun in Florida, so your home fades. It's tough to beat that HOA when they come calling. Beat the sun, beat the HOA with that one painter, First Coast. And it's a good time to do it. Less rain to work around, and painting in mild temperatures is perfect. After all, the paint bonds to the surface so much better. Give that one painter First Coast a call at 904-417-3557 or look them up at first-coast.thatonepainter.com. Fast estimate, guidance on color and HOA requirements, and the highest quality job you'll find anywhere. Be a big winner in your neighborhood with that one painter First Coast on your team.
When it comes to trucks, I know exactly what I want. And at Bozard Ford, they make it easy to get exactly that. Let's go make this truck a little more my style. With Bozard Built, I can create my perfect truck right here. Lift kit? Check. Premium wheels? You bet. Advanced lighting package? Oh yeah. The Bozard team works their magic. From bumper to tailgate, I'm making this truck mine. It's everything that I wanted and more. From the field to the gym to weekend adventures. This truck's built for my journey. Bozard Built. Customized for your lifestyle, built to exceed your expectations. Check out the inventory and available options at bozardbuilt.com. Unleash your dream ride. Customized, covered, and Bozard approved.
Welcome back to the Brent and Austin Show, streaming on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network.
Kendrick Lamar, how was it? There's the halftime performance. We're trying to figure out, what did his jacket say? What does it say? Did anybody come up with that? Know that? Brent Martineau, along with, I think, Austen Lane. Maybe not. Why am I getting a hum in my ear? Is that Austin? Says it can't fix anything today, by the way, because he's out playing golf too.
You hear me, Brent?
Yeah, we got you back. Yep.
All right, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's up?
No, you're good. Go ahead.
I was gonna say I didn't know what the jacket said, Brent, but honestly, I wasn't even concerned about the jacket because I was enthralled. And listen, I understand that the halftime show wasn't for everybody, but to me, I almost give this the Avengers effect, right? Like, if you remember the Avengers, Age of Ultron and everything, that was a big moment in movie history because of all the points that led up to that thing, right? So say you went to go see the Avengers and you didn't watch all the Thors, you didn't watch all the Iron Mans, you didn't watch the Incredible Hulk. Well, then you're probably going to be feeling a little lost. I don't get what the big deal is. But if you followed it from its infancy, if you followed all the beef with Drake and Kendrick Lamar, if you followed the whole Serena Williams context and everything, you had a giant treat last night, Brent, let's just say. And that's how I felt about it. I thought it was fantastic, but I understand a lot of people weren't a fan of it.
Yeah, I don't. You know what's funny? You say that because you talk about it on the show. Obviously, I don't have a lot of knowledge of this. It's just I don't. So I'm not going to pretend to do it. But I didn't mind the halftime performance. I wasn't wowed by anything. But I also sat back and tried to listen. Okay, is that because I don't listen to Kendrick Lamar much or at all? No, not really, because I'm like that all the time. Like with the halftimes, I never get the full allure of the halftime. If I know somebody's music, obviously, then you're a little bit more in tune with it. But that's just natural. But I was thinking when I was watching, I was like, I knew we were going to have a conversation today, and I guarantee you there are so many subtle things going on here that I just don't know because I'm not living in that, diss track, Drake, Kendrick Lamar scene that you've been talking about, right? Like when you'd come in and on the, whether it's a couple months ago, I'm like, did you see, the latest or whatever? And I just don't follow it enough to know. But so what you're telling me is there was a lot of that inside it.
There was tons of it, and like, once again, this was almost like our season finale, right? Like this was, if you've been following the beef from the start, whether it was, Kendrick calling out Drake and J. Cole and then that whole thing and then J. Cole stuff, however far back you want to go. But from the infancy, if you followed the entire thing, then you were watching last night just going, I can't believe he did that. Like, I can't believe on one of the biggest showcases in the entire world that Kendrick Lamar got away with it. And if you didn't follow it, if you're not like a big giant fan, kind of like my mom texted me. She was a little confused last night, it seemed like, and understandably, my mom's more into the whole R&B thing. She doesn't have time for rap beefs. So it was definitely for more of a niche audience. I think that the niche audience loved it. And I think, the casual audience who wasn't really familiar with what was going on was just kind of left thinking that was it.
Yeah. I thought two big things out of that. And again, one was that, and then two other ones on top of the halftime.
That you really liked mustard.
Huh? No, my main thought was, is he going to do something to kind of bring in all the different viewers that are watching? Because different demographics are watching. Like the olds are turning it off, right? There's like that, but you were going to get like all that, right? Because like, I don't get this, or I don't. So I was just curious to see if there was anything ever. And part of it, I thought that was maybe like the mellow side of it. Like it wasn't like ramped up to 10. Then it almost felt a little bit boring at times because of that. And so I was waiting for some moment. The other thing I was like, okay, is he going to do the opposite? Like he's going to have a moment. What's the moment going to be? Like he's edgy. So where are we going over the edge? Yeah. And I never thought that moment existed. Now I think it did with obviously one of the dancers or performers in the show that made news today. He got banned because of the flag, but I never saw that. Did you see that and I missed it? Anything like that?
Well, yeah. So there was two things. Well, there's a couple things. One being, so the whole thing behind this whole week was whether or not he was going to play Not Like Us, because there was rumors where if he was going to play it, then Drake was going to sue him for defamation because, well, the whole thesis of the song being a rap beef was that, Drake is into minors, right? So there was a thought that Kendrick wasn't going to play that song because he didn't want to get sued. So then if you go back to it, and it was funny because you had a couple things going on. You had Samuel L. Jackson, who was playing like the moderator of America, saying like, hey, this is the Super Bowl halftime show. You can't go too street here. You got to keep it classy and everything. So then Kendrick teases Not Like Us. And then he's like, I don't want to get sued. So then he doesn't play it.
Yeah.
So then the whole time I'm like, wow, this dude really chickened out. Like through everything, he's not actually going to play the song. And that's what I thought. And I think some people share my feelings like, wow, so you're going to have like a 5-second tease, but not actually play it. And I was kind of like, wow, this is going to be a disaster. And then they bring the beat back, and then you have Samuel L. Jackson talking some more. Then it's like, oh, he's going to play it. And not only did he play it, but then when he said the word Drake, he looked right at the camera, almost like Jim Halpert from The Office, where it's like, I know what's going on, and I know exactly what I'm doing, and it is what it is. But then the cherry on top, Brent, and this is what to me was game over as he closed off with it, was when he had Drake's ex-girlfriend, Serena Williams, dancing to the song that's alleging that Drake is into younger women. That's insane. That's insane that he got, one of the biggest athletes of all time, Serena Williams, up there on stage dancing essentially on your ex-boyfriend's grave. That was insane.
Yeah.
But once again, but a lot of people didn't get it.
Nobody would know. Not nobody,
Yeah.
but again, there's a whole population, probably me included, that wouldn't understand or get all that. So I appreciate that, though. I appreciate that part of the storytelling. Like, I really can. And I think that all those nuanced things, those subtle things, innuendo type stuff is good. I think that's kind of cool that it came across to anybody that did know what it was all about. And by the way, it was the A minor was for that Drake purpose as well, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
And I might have said that right at the jump. I'm like, what's the A? Wait, Kendrick Lamar? I'm trying to do all the
Yeah. So, I mean, listen, I thought it was great. I get it wasn't for everybody. I'm sure there's some outrage this morning. And I'm sure we'll probably get, now you kind of have to course correct, right? So let's go and get Chris Stapleton next year. Let's do it, everybody.
Yeah, probably.
It's about that time.
We gotta reel him in.
I'm saying zero dancing. I'm saying zero laughs. We're just going to keep it real, man, with our beard and our long hair and our cowboy hats and boots and just make it about the music. No country beef, no innuendos. Samuel Jackson's not going to make an appearance. Just some good old down-home country folk music. Let's get it, Brent.
Yeah, we might have to go that way. I did wonder this. Can you rap without swearing, and does it have as much impact? Because obviously you can't do it on that scene, right? And I don't know how much he left out of his normal song. Again, I don't. But you're not doing it. Can you? Like, it's a weird listening to a rapper not swear.
Yeah, it is a little bit. Yeah, I mean, there's some rappers out there that will rarely do it. Kendrick's one of those guys who's not afraid to say what he wants to say. I mean, yeah, it is a little different, right? Because it's such a big audience, and even when he played Not Like Us, he kind of had to tailor a little bit to, I feel like, be a little more family friendly. But once again, I still thought it was a great showcase. And listen, people want to complain about, sometimes I'm not doing it, but some people want to complain about this, whether you have dancers and this sexualization of the Super Bowl halftime shows, and we've seen that in the past, and we didn't really see that.
No, we didn't. It was pretty mellow.
We didn't see Shakira and J-Lo and everything doing what they did. This was some people were disappointed. Well, hey, keep up that attitude, because when Chris Stapleton plays next year, you ain't getting none of that. You're gonna have women wearing overalls and bibs and hoodies and stuff. So
Kendrick did take a little heat for the jeans, by the way. He did take a little heat for the outfit.
Yeah, the jeans were. I mean, listen, I remember those jeans back when I was in high school. He's bringing them back. Those are straight from the buckle, Brent. Those were the buckle jeans right there. I
know you got to get going. You got to go work out. But commercials, nothing, right? Like, is anybody latching onto the commercials at all? Like, I don't even know if somebody said the Jeep commercial was one.
The Bud Light one was good.
Bud Light was a good one. It was a good one. That's a good little. They got a good little theme going now. Seal was good. Yeah, that was pretty good.
I thought that was pretty funny. But yeah, I just think now, Brent, because we can kind of see them before they even drop, on the internet and everything. Yeah. It kind of takes away the giant reveal of everything.
Yeah, I saw somebody say today Jeep spent $32 million on the whole production and buying it, and they said it will rake them in millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars. Like, it's going to work. I don't know how they already know that, but it's pretty interesting that, like, $32 million, I guess you got to spend it to make it. That old adage is right. So we'll see. All right, get out of here. We'll see you a little bit later in the show. And Austen Lane down at Fight Camp in South Florida. He's in and out this week and back actually later in the week and for a couple of days. We might actually be down at Jags headquarters for some flag football event on Friday. Monday going to be at Bozard down in St. Augustine. And then I think he goes out to Vegas after that and then starts getting ramped up for fight, which I don't think has been announced still. So there's still that, but we should be closing in on that soon enough. All right, let's do this. Take a time out on the show. We'll get back to a couple of things I want to talk about. The Jags staff. And Hamby already brought this up today, but we'll get back to it. When you look at the Eagles, does that change how you look at the draft? Because Josh Hines-Allen he was on Twitter last night. It was kind of rare that he was kind of interacting on social media. And he put out there, who do you want to get in the draft at number 5? And the responses were kind of interesting to me. I wonder if they're interesting to everybody else. But also, do the Eagles kind of shift right after watching that game where you think it should go? Or will we rethink this over the next couple months? Obviously, a lot of time until you get to the draft, but I do think you got to look at the Eagles now. I mean, that's the mountaintop. Why not do that? You can play quarterback just as good, if not better, than Jalen Hurts here. I don't think there's any question. I think you can coach to the level of a Sirianni. I think the question is, can you get a team as good as that? And part of that will be the 5th overall pick in the draft. Part of that is the trenches where they are better than everybody, and you're not. We'll talk a little bit more about the Jags and, again, that staff when we come back. And, yeah, this was good. The Miller Lite campaign, it's a Bud Light campaign. Bud Light? Right?
Oh, must not have been too effective.
Bud Light, yeah, Bud Light. Bud Light campaign, there it is. I think it's a good one with these guys in it. Let's see how long it goes and carries on. But they paid for the stars, of course. Peyton Manning later showed up in this one as well.
If you don't see a pit, it ain't legit. When you hear that, you think Bono's Pit Barbecue, a staple in Northeast Florida now for 75 years. A place that feels like home with friendly service, a meeting place for friends, family, or business occasions. On the menu, the corn nuggets are a favorite in our house, but there's something for everyone. Sandwiches, platters, salads, sides, desserts, and family feasts. You see Bono's all over the place in Northeast Florida. You know, there are almost 20 locations in the Jacksonville area now, so stop on by, sit down, and dine in with Bono's. You can also take it to go. There are drive-thrus in many of the locations, and they have delivery options too. Just download the Bono's app to make things easy. I signed up for the loyalty program, and you can too, to get special offers. If Jacksonville is home, few things feel more Jacksonville than Bono's Pit Barbecue. Celebrate 75 years and many more to come. Bono's Pit Barbecue. If you don't see a pit, it ain't legit.
For the game day hustle and every day in between. Juggling my show, Jag Social, to going under the Friday night lights and a social life, it's a daily tournament. But this ride, MVP status. The all-new 2024 Lincoln Nautilus isn't just my car, it's my personal locker room, office on the go, and VIP lounge on wheels. Let's talk tech. My profile remembers everything from customizing my dash display to setting the ambient lighting and my signature scent. And wireless charging, essential for live tweeting scores. Whether I'm packing for a beach day with friends or heading to the gym, there's space for every passion. After dominating all day, this becomes my recovery zone. The massage feature is like having a personal PT on call. Life's a non-stop game, but with this ride, I'm always on my A game. The 2024 Lincoln Nautilus. Drive your passion.
You trust CGC to make your water great, and now you can trust CGC with your plumbing needs as well. Fast, convenient scheduling, licensed and insured. A quick call away at 904-552-1242.
You never know when you're going to have an issue with a shower, toilet, or maybe it's a sink that sometimes is easy to fix. All right, let's be honest. I'm not fixing anything. I'm totally staging this because when I have a plumbing problem, I call CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing.
Trained professionals, transparent pricing, customer satisfaction. Small problem or even a bigger issue. Right now, you can take 10% off any water heater. The experts with 25 years of experience at CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing can do it all. Call 904-552-1242 or visit cgcwater.com. For a limited time, CGC is waiving the trip charge on all related plumbing calls. CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing, an authorized independent Connecticut dealer. Florida license number CFC 1432579.
Here on Spring Sports Media Day on Action Sports Jack.
It's an opportunity, an education beyond the classroom and the sports arena. Life skills, testing skills, social skills. It's called High School 912, a program focused on maximizing the growth of students in academics, sports, and life. And here's your chance to get involved. If you're a local business, or if you just want to make a donation to help support programs like ACT and SAT boot camps, career days, Leadership Academy, Financial Literacy Academy, and so much more.
Another Nice High School Panther, Jack Cole.
High School 912 supports and hosts high school sporting events and several media days throughout the year. For more information on how you can get involved, visit jackshighschool912.com.
It's the place we party in football season with Jaguars All Access. Welcome to String Sports Brewery, everybody. Say hello to our guest tonight. That is Trevor Lawrence. You can bring your party or event to String Sports Brewery in Springfield any day and any time. Rehearsal dinners, corporate events, birthdays. Here at Strings, you can enjoy the inside area and the outside area. Good for any weather, good for any occasion. Watch the games, play the games, shoot some hoops. Beer? Yeah, they have that. Plenty of choices. And sure, this is a brewery, but Strings is also a restaurant, and the food is fantastic. A full menu made from scratch meals. And if you need String Sports Brewery to help with a party at your place, they cater too. Family, beer, food, sports. Spring Sports Brewery in Springfield.
Welcome back to the Brent and Austin Show, streaming on the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 network.
Wow, this is the scene in Philly. Why do people do this? Like, why is this fun? I don't get this. I've never understood it. If the Jags go win a Super Bowl, is this what we're doing? Like, who's going out? Who's going to downtown and doing this? Everybody?
No, not everybody.
Well, it seems like everybody. Are these just big cities because they have so many people in the cities and they live downtown? So you kind of come out and you have a party? And by the way, like most of this is just people trying to have fun, and then you got some of the idiots, right? But
this is people coming out of the bars at downtown.
Oh, okay, they were watching.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. See, and that's the scene. Like, we don't have that scene here in Jacksonville, right? So and I also don't get the sense that people watch the Super Bowl in bars, but I guess they do.
I would hate it, but
like, I didn't think that's where they watched it.
Yeah.
But I don't get that scene, lighting stuff on fire, the car stuff. Like, why has that become like a rite of passage for Super Bowls and championship teams? I don't get it. I really don't. I don't understand how it started. I don't understand why it exists. I don't understand the sense of it. I wouldn't want to be down there and be a part of it.
I did it twice in Athens after the Georgia won both their national championships.
So you spilled out into the streets with everybody?
Yeah.
And was it fun?
I mean, it was just cool to like look around and see like
the massive humanity.
4,000, 5,000, 6,000 people.
Yeah.
Riding around.
Okay.
And then my buddy lost his keys. So, and in that, we were searching for about an hour. So we had a little maze and hide and seek, and that was torturous. And it was 30 degrees. It was real fun.
Well, again, I do think the national championship at a college level is a little different. You've got a bunch of kids there, and there's nowhere else to go. Right. Like when you come out, and by the way, like the game ends at 10:30, the night just started.
Mm-hmm.
If people are working tomorrow. Again, I just have it's different here in Jacksonville, but I've asked myself the question in Jacksonville, because you don't have so many people living downtown, and you don't have people at establishments downtown.
Yeah, I wonder what it would look like.
But I do wonder what it would look like. Where are you going? Like, I would see more at the beach. Like, does the beach look like that? Or a little bit like that? Or does it have to be downtown? Like, I don't know. I know this, but I'm different in this sense. Like, I've never wanted to go to the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. I would not want to go to New Year's Eve in New York City. Like, there's that looks like the worst time of all time to me. I don't have any chance like I'll ever go to it. Like, I just don't want to go to it. It looks miserable. So this amount of people also looks. I say the same thing. Like, I get why people go to the parades.
Yeah.
You know, I do understand that becomes like a day out of work, a day out of school. You take your family and the kids, and now those two have become like drunk fests. It's basically Mardi Gras. Yeah. You know, I think they used to be more like family oriented, and now it's kind of this blend of it's a huge party and maybe get the family out there. Of course, we've had like the disaster last year or 2 years ago in Kansas City where there was a shooting. So it's I think I get that one. I get the parade stuff. Like I get that a little bit more, and because we even talk about it just in past, like where's the parade route going to be in Jacksonville and all that stuff. I just don't get the spilling out into the streets on a Sunday night with that amount of people and lighting stuff on fire and crushing cars and you know, hanging from light posts and then falling to your death. Like, Make it make sense. Make it make sense. I don't get it.
Well, most of the stuff that Philly fans do doesn't make sense anyway. So
I just don't get the party scene. But it would be wild to see what the party scene looks like in Jacksonville someday. And here's the other, again, this might be just a big city thing. Give me somebody recently who's won that it doesn't feel like a big city. Like when the St. Louis Blues won the Cup, they have that live whatever down there. It's like where people gather and watch games anyway. Remember they had a place going nuts. They had the same thing like for the Milwaukee Bucks. Same deal. I forget what they call it now. Austin would know. But it's where everybody's gathering and watching the games. Kind of a cool time. It's like the Battery in Atlanta for both of those cities that I mentioned.
Right.
So like there's already a little bit of a party scene. I understand that. Like they get it. Wrigleyville would be another example of this. But again, Chicago's a big city. So I just don't know if the scene was like this in St. Louis when the Blues won.
I don't know what
or
it was
when
like
the Bucks.
in Arlington when the Rangers won last year.
That's a good call. Like I don't. Would Dallas is so spread out of a city. It's like
right.
4 big cities in one, if you really think about it. So I don't know if that's the way. Glenn, Lakers fans turned over please. This has been going on for a long time. I know it'd be great 30 for 30. Somebody give me the origin of this and figure out why it happens and the mentality of it happening. And does it happen all the time? I'd love to find somebody who's won a title and you really haven't seen that scene. And I don't know who that would be. Like, what would the scene in Buffalo be if they were to win?
Just as bad.
Really? But they're not hanging out downtown is my point. On a freezing cold, like, I don't think so. I think they show up at the airport at 2 a.m.
Yeah.
They do that. Now, they do that even when they lose.
They're going to line up the chairs down every street or the tables and just hop all the way through them.
Yes, that's what they would do.
That's what they would do.
But like, seriously,
off the light pole into the table.
Yeah, I don't know why they do this. I got to look into it more now, and didn't think about it much today until I saw that scene. But we'll see. All right, how do you get there? How do you get that scene? Did the Jags coaching staff? Is this the group that's going to do it? You know, I will say this about this coaching staff. It's if you're looking at the outside looking in, it's not a sexy staff here. That's from a name standpoint. You don't know a lot of people. Like this does not have you didn't bring Vic Fangio in, right? You don't have the Kellen Moore. You don't have these names that people know. And this is a look at the staff that came out on Friday. And I told you on Friday's show that the Edgar Bennett one was one I was referring to, a wide receivers coach. I thought that was really cool. And these guys might be great. This might be a great staff. I'm not criticizing the staff. I'm just saying it's pretty weird to look at a staff, and if you were outside of Jacksonville, I don't think you know a lot of these names. And even inside Jacksonville, I don't think we know a lot of these names. We're about to learn. But, I mean, sure, will people know who Heath Farwell is? I guess. How many special teams coordinators do you know around the league? Look at that far right. Nobody knows any of those guys if you're sitting there in Houston today on the right. And then you know Edgar Bennett, he played in the league. And I think you know Chad Morton, played in the league. Outside of that.
I've never heard of Chad Morton.
Oh, you hadn't heard of Chad Morton? Okay. I think there are a decent amount of people that would. But Shane Waldron, you know, because he failed in Chicago.
Yep.
I mean, isn't that wild? Like, it's a... And again, I say this with all due respect. I think the staff's fine. And I'm excited to see how it goes. But this is not a who's who status. This is not like, I know these guys. I got a great feeling about these guys. I know what this guy does or that guy does or how he's going to impact. Like, that's not it. And some of that's the youth part, the inexperienced part. But they actually do have more experience than it actually sounded last week when we were going through all this. They still will be young. I think they said the average age is 42, which is young. Mm-hmm. But an inexperience in the position they are in is certainly the case. Campanile is, I think, a 42-year-old guy, but he's never been a defensive coordinator in the NFL. So that's inexperience. Obviously, you've got guys like Liam Cohen and Udinski, the same kind of role, Spencer Whipple, all the rest. So why did the Jags build the staff this way? And doing a little work on this, here's why they love the staff. And it came together pretty quick, but they also did their due diligence. This is a lot of interviews. And one of the main takeaways of this staff is the fact that on offense specifically, you have guys that can talk the language of Liam Cohen. They have been around Cohen. They see the game a similar way, but they speak the language a similar way. And the thought process in Jacksonville is if you get this collection of people around that now have to translate that language and communicate that to, first of all, Trevor Lawrence, but the rest of the offense, everybody's going to speak the same language. We don't have to get them up to speed on speaking the same language. Waldron was with Cohen at UMass. Obviously, you've got the connections between the McVay and Minnesota, and even on the defensive side, you got the LaFleur tree. Like, you've got all these guys coming together with similar backgrounds or been around each other and know the way the football is spoken in this kind of system. And I think that is paramount for at least why the Jags like it. I'm not telling you it's going to work that way, but the idea is for it to work fast because the Jags have a window. They're paying a quarterback a lot of money. They think they have good players that are better than a 4-win team. This is not, hey, 2013, let's build this thing up, ramp it up, and we've got time. This is, no, let's go. Like, the division is there to get now. And so if you can hit the ground running faster on April 7th when you get in the building and you already start talking the language, you don't have to teach the coaches it now. You don't have to get the coaches on board. You got that pretty much. And now you direct that toward the players. So I think that's one of their motivations. They also believe that some of these guys, like Edgar Bennett and the Chad Mortons of the world, and I think Milas in the secondary, these guys are like very tactician, good teacher guys. Now, we thought the Jags were doing that on the defensive side of the football last year too, especially when they brought in Ryan Nielsen and this staff. We didn't think they liked the last staff in terms of how they coached it. Did they get guys better? Did they develop enough? Well, the idea behind Nielsen and the staff that came in on the defensive side for the Jags was to do that. Did they? Well, they weren't very good, so I don't know if they did it enough. I know they didn't do it enough. Can this staff do that? Can you teach the game? Can you develop they's guys? Because there's still a lot of young guys that need to be developed. Can you get the best out of them? So we'll find out if that is the case. But I think you're talking about two different views of, and this is probably when you build a staff anyway, right? But really, I would say three things stick out to this staff for me if you want to put it in a general way of speaking. One, they do speak the language of Liam Cohen and the football that he wants to play on the offensive side. Two, it seems like they added to the youth with some veterans that are well known for their tactician and teaching and being able to be fundamentally good. What does that mean? Go back to the quote where it says we've got to stop worrying about winning games and we've got to start worrying about stop losing games, right? So don't beat yourself. Be really good. Be sound. All those things. Situationally, go to that FAST acronym, right?
Situational masters.
Yeah, situational masters. So they got those older guys in to help do that, is what it says to me. And then the last part of this, where you would take normally you would take somebody's staff and you'd be like, oh, that's cool. They got this guy. They got that guy. I know that guy. He was great here, and he did good with it. Oh, Jags have this piece and that piece that's similar to what they did in Miami or what they did in Minnesota or what they did here or there. The Jags don't really. That's not this. Instead, it's the other way. It's, oh, which one of these are really good and are going to be stars and future head coaches? Like, that to me is a big takeaway. Like, what did they unearth some future stars? And now the league might already known about it. Some of the coaching trees might already known about it, but are we about to find out about it? Is Campanile really good? Udinski, they think, is really good. Spencer Whipple, is he really good? Like, are these guys going to continue to rise up the ladder the way Liam Cohen has? And of course, you have to be successful to do that. But I think this staff, to me, comes a different angle because You actually ask that question more so than you go back over the resume and say, this worked here, so it can work here because in Jacksonville we've got Trayvon Walker and Josh Hines-Allen and Eric Armstead. No, it's like if they can get the best out of these guys, they're on the fast track to maybe the next job in a couple of years if things can work here in Jacksonville. So I think that's kind of fascinating. And by the way, not a bad place to be. I mean, look at some of the best organizations. That's what happens. You want to get rated. You want the staff. You want people coming after your staff. You want people coming after your front office people. That means you're having success. So I think I don't know if I love that. I think it's just an unknown part of it, but it's an observation I have about the staff because we just don't know. I can't rave about it, but I don't mind it. And I keep saying I don't mind that part. Hopefully they found some of those. Now, listen, is Edgar Bennett going to be a head coach someday? I don't think so. He's a wide receiver coach. Those guys, Milas, they're going to be a head? Probably not. So you get those guys in there that are these been around the game for a long time and now can really coach it up as well and might be here for a long time if things go well. That's okay too. You can find plenty of consistency in the staff. Richard Angulo, he stays around, right? Farwell stays around. Like these guys aren't probably future head coaches, not the way the league works, right, in my opinion, but they can be around it for a long time. But you might have to replace and replenish if things go really well to your OC and your QB coach and your DC. That's okay. Like that could be really okay, and you hope for that because if it works, it'll be a good thing. But they speak the language. Maybe there are some unearthed rising stars in the staff as well, and then you've got the tacticians and teachers. From what I've been told, like that's their strong points. I can't tell you that. I don't know it, but I'm just repeating what I've heard from digging around a little bit on some of the guys that they brought in, including Edgar Bennett. Very well received around the league. Obviously, a guy from Riverside High School, Old Lee High School, played under Corky Rogers. So it's a really cool deal. Hey, we thought when this whole thing started, right, that Mark Brunell might be coming back to Jacksonville with Ben Johnson, and he would be like the local connection guy. And people have craved for like Keenan McCardell over the years and others. Well, it turns out it's pretty wild that Tony Baselli is in the front office after all this is said and done. So he's your Jags lineage guy. And then you've got a hometown guy in Edgar Bennett. Like hadn't heard his name mentioned in the search at all. Like no, I don't think anybody reported that before it came out, right?
I hadn't heard it.
Yeah, and I heard it Thursday night before it came out, and I was like, that's a pretty cool one. That's pretty cool to get. I don't know Edgar Bennett because I didn't cover him, but the guys that say he's awesome. So I think it's going to be nice to have him here in Jacksonville, and pretty cool for him too to be a part of the Jacksonville Jaguars. So I kind of I'm intrigued by the staff. I'm not going to sit here and blow smoke, folks. I'm not going to say this staff's going to be one of the best staffs in the league. I have no idea. We just don't. But I'm intrigued by it, and I see what they did, and I'm okay. Like I'm okay to follow logic. I see what they did. They want to hit the ground running here. They do not want this to be a long onboarding process for this current group. There is a chance that they run this entire offense back. Like there is a chance. I'm not telling you they will, but they have contractually they have a chance to do that. So you could keep tremendous continuity if you can get them on the same page of what you're trying to accomplish and the offense and the translation of that and all those things over the next 6 months until you play real football games. What's your takeaway on the staff? Anything get to you?
I mean, not really. I think I'm glad they added the young or the experienced guys. Again, it's hard to go off of guys that I've never heard of, throughout the league. But I at least think that we at least have an opportunity to have a better understanding of what our offense is trying to do. I think even that's part of, we've talked about it so much of Doug and press and not feeling like we knew. But even with, it seemed like we had three guys heading up the offense, Doug, Press, and Mike McCoy. Well, now we have more. Not saying more's better, but with Waldron, Whipple, Udinski, Van Dam, I feel like there's a good chance that we have a lot better idea of exactly what we're trying to do on offense, and a better shot of that being translated to each of the position groups, not just to the quarterback, not just to this position group or that, but truly to the whole offense, and then to the whole team. As far as the defensive staff, did you ever get we have one that's a secondary coach and one's a DB's coach. Is secondary just going to be like the safety and one's
they do split those a lot now. Like
Yeah.
I guess they'll probably get in there and figure that out. But I mean, my understanding is you could have like a safeties coach and a DB's coach. That's what they do now.
Yeah.
Which again, it seems like a lot, but it is what it is. They're not alone. Everybody seems to do it. So. Yeah, and I think Glenn C. was asking the Michigan linebacker coach. That's Kevin Wilkins. That's part of this staff. Again, I mean, this is a staff that
He's another real young dude.
Yeah, I mean, you got a lot of youth. I don't mind the youth. I really don't. But I think it's important to note that there are guys on here that aren't. It's not all young. Like as it turns out, positionally, it's not all young, and it lifted up the mean, the average age, as well.
Jabari Yale kept his job. He was the
yes
on the defense.
Yep, he was here last year.
Yep.
So he was a stay holdover. Angulo and Tettleton, by the way, and also Farwell. What was Luke Thompson? Luke Thompson too.
Luke Thompson
as
both
well.
Special teams.
So, which is appropriate. I think that's okay. That's okay. One thing that's interesting about Tettleton, I don't know if people know this or not. Tyler Tettleton, his dad, Mickey Tettleton, played for the Detroit Tigers for all those late years. You probably never heard of Mickey Tettleton.
Mm-mm.
Damn. But Tettleton was a good quarterback, I think, at Ohio U. Tyler was. So he's one of those guys that throws a lot during practice. Okay. But his dad was Mickey Tettleton, who I was a Tigers fan before I was a Red Sox fan growing up for like a few short years.
Oh, yeah.
This was my first game I ever went to was in Detroit. And Tettleton, so I kind of always had a little bit of affinity even when I, got my mind right and was a Red Sox fan growing up in Rhode Island. But Tettleton, man, he had that stance, the lefty stance. You go back and check it out. Card collectors out there as a young age. Remember Mickey Tettleton. So I thought that was cool when I heard that a couple of years ago. So Jack's staff is complete. Now they go to work on the GM. And the GM stuff is, yes, catcher, Glenn, you got it. You go to the GM stuff where they got a half a dozen plus Ethan Waugh that they're going to interview. The virtuals, I think, start. I'm telling you what, 2 weeks away from the combine, and you start to wonder, when's this guy getting hired? Like, how fast is this going to go? And I did this a little bit on Friday, but I think you have time to do it. But somebody asked earlier in the show, when is a GM going to be hired? And I would suggest, I got pretty good at this actually on the whole staff. I had called Friday, like a week and a half ago, and I was right. So let's try to call it. We're on the 10th.
Okay.
I say this week is going to be virtuals. You get down to your last three or something like that. You probably make an offer. Is it going to happen next Tuesday or Wednesday? The Jags have a GM. I'm going to lean toward Wednesday. The 19th, the Jags will have a new general manager. And then you get your general manager in here, and then you go to Indianapolis. Because it's a week at the combine.
That's a quick turnaround.
Now, keep in mind, that general manager, wherever he's coming from, he's planning on going to the combine anyway.
Right.
Right? So it's more just, hey, let's get this guy in here. You're going to have a week and a half to kind of feel the vision anyway. And then you get him in the building for a couple of days. You put your plans together, however that goes. I don't even know that process of, all right, let's get on the same page. Here's what we have. It's the scouting staff, remember, under Balky, is going to have a lot of say in how this next couple of months goes. They've put in all the work. And then you've got this guy to kind of rein it in, whoever that is. Now, there is a chance, and I don't want to dismiss this chance, that either Ethan Waugh is the next general manager or part of it. I think they really like Ethan in the building. And by the way, I'm okay with that. I've seen a lot of stuff on social media where Ethan Waugh, like, he's tied to Bulky. That ain't it. Like, I don't think that's how this works. And in fact, I know Ethan Waugh a little bit, not a lot of it, but a little bit. I don't think he's like, personality-wise and everything else, I don't think he's anything like Balky. There are a few people like Balky anyway. But I don't think he, like, beats to the same drum as Balky. Like, you don't just... These guys are different. And you just work together. Now, do they see football a similar way? Well, maybe. I don't know if that's that bad. I mean, listen, Balky's seen football inside out, wanted the big guys. Like, that's the way they're going to build this organization. So is that in line with Baselli and everything else? Probably. And also, I think you do get a nod if you're Ethan Waugh and you get a level of respect from Shad and Tony and probably even Liam Cohen for the process. He was involved with it.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, Liam Cohen likes Ethan Waugh. He helped hire him. He's one of the reasons he's got the job.
Right.
Right? So, and Shad has shown a tremendous history of keeping guys. Now, what I'm saying, I'm not telling you that he's going to be the GM. I really don't think he's going to be the GM. But when you talk about infrastructure in the front office, what's wrong with having him as an assistant GM? I mean, we just saw, I think we just opened our eyes in Tampa that they have two guys behind Jason Licht that they really like and that other people liked. Nothing wrong with that. So go back to Shad on a month ago now, where he said, I'm keeping Balky, but we need to beef up the front office and the infrastructure there. Well, you get Baselli in. Do you keep Waugh part of it? Because he really knows what they've been doing for the last 18 months in terms of this cycle of drafting and free agency and everything else. And again, the roster build of this hasn't been that bad. So I'm okay with keeping Ethan Waugh. I see people on social like, no. I don't think he's going to get the GM job because I do think you're going to get somebody else to go toe to toe and step in step with Cohen. I'd be surprised if Waugh got the job, but that's just me on the outside looking. I don't know that, but I also at this stage might be surprised if he's not part of the front office, and I think that's okay. Like I really do. I think that's okay. I think that would be Shad really keeping the word of what he said too, of beefing this thing up and what he really wanted to do even going years back. But he obviously tried to do that even under Dave Caldwell in 2020 when he brought Balky in. He's like, hey, we need another body in here, another voice in here. Well, then they go get Ethan Waugh from San Francisco when Balky's got the gig. So even if it's not Waugh, you would think it's somebody else. And I guess that could be determined by the new GM. Does the GM want to bring somebody else in with him? But you don't usually do that now. Let's just say Ian Cunningham got the job. He doesn't want to go raid Chicago and say, hey, I'm taking me and another guy. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, listen, Glenn, see, I get the perception of Waugh as a part of a failed system. Understood. But I think that's unfair to him is, I guess, what I'm trying to say. I don't think everybody's failed in the organization. Now, I can't sit and tell you that he's not responsible for some of it. I don't know that. I don't know who's pulling the trigger on some of these things. But I don't think the organization sees him as an issue and a problem. And keep in mind, the owner was standing by Balky up until a couple of weeks ago. Mm-hmm. So he probably really doesn't see that part as a major issue. So I think Waugh's got an excellent chance to stay. Waugh, in this particular experiment, is what I used to say about Andrew Wingard. People wanted Wingard out when they were all over him because he was associated with the 1-15 losing teams. And then he became a hero around here. And I'm not telling you Waugh will do the same, but I think what Glenn is saying and what everybody on social media and other people are saying that have a problem with Waugh is very much like that. I think you associate with somebody else, so you got to get rid of them. Well, I don't think that's really how it works. Listen, this team just won 4 games. The Jags kept the tight end coach. They kept the special teams coordinator. They kept 3 other coaches. And that's okay, too. Those guys were doing a good job. Maybe Waugh's doing a really good job, and he's worth having in the building. Familiarity, onboard the GM, work together, all this stuff might be okay. The new GM's going to come in, probably make some changes in the scouting staff after the draft. Doesn't mean to get rid of everybody. You just don't know the names as well. So I think it's very similar in that respect. So we'll see how it goes. My prediction is Waugh does not get the GM job. I'd be very surprised. And at this stage, my prediction is I think I'm going to be very surprised if he's still not part of the front office after the GM is hired. So we'll see if I'm right or wrong. My prediction also is the 19th. We'll have a GM. I know somebody asked that earlier. Just a guess on my part, once this thing plays out, they do have to do some due diligence here, and that still gets you hired in plenty of time for the combine, put things in place, and go to work here in Jacksonville. What about that draft pick? Did it change last night? Do you go get a big fella? Josh Hines-Allen had some comments last night, and then I thought the comments under him were pretty interesting. And I want to see if everybody else feels the same way. The Brent Austen Show here on the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 network. You can find us at actionsportsjacks.com, by the way. And we've got content all day, every day here on the network. Evan Engram, we'll hear from him as well as he was visiting with fans, part of the Verizon Fan Fest on Sunday at Everbank Stadium. They did this all throughout the league, and good to catch up with Evan Engram. We'll hear from the Jaguars tight end coming up in just a bit here on the Brent and Austen Show.
The Tom Bush family of dealerships, they've been serving customers in the Jacksonville area for 55 years. They've been your go-to spot to get and stay on the road since 1970, and that's still the case here in 2025 and beyond, even if the cars have changed just a little bit.
Check out the sleek line of vehicles of the future. That's right, electric vehicles. Tom Bush offers a full lineup of reliable electric cars with state-of-the-art service facilities. Like the new VinFast, Tom Bush is among the first dealers in the entire country to offer the VinFast, and let me tell you, this thing is sweet. The good folks at Tom Bush have all the info on charging, service, tax credits, and everything you need to keep your EV running smoothly. BMW, Mazda, Volkswagen, Mini, and the newly offered VinFast. There's something for everyone at the Tom Bush family of dealerships. Ready to join the Tom Bush family? Stop by the showroom or check out the inventory online at tombush.com.
People helping people. It's at the core of what Alive Credit Union is all about, and it's been that way for over 70 years. From the start in 1954 to today, the mission remains to inspire financial wellness and give you a financially fit lifestyle. Alive Credit Union and its employees are committed to not only serving their valued members, but also our community here in Northeast Florida. I had a chance to see that commitment firsthand as Alive partnered with our Action Sports Jacks 24/7 team to bring you Armada men's and women's soccer broadcasts. Inside the 18, it is a shot, and it's a goal! Chloe Chivers! And that connection to the community continues with Alive Credit Union's support of the Police Athletic League of Jacksonville. Alive Credit Union's commitment to our community also involves serving the financial needs of all first responders through the recent merger partnership with City and Police Federal Credit Union. Join the community and become a member of Alive Credit Union today. Find out the many ways you can be inspired in financial wellness at alivecu.coop.
Everyone loves a good game night. Here you don't have to be the host. You don't have to clean up. They bring the food and drinks to you, and you can watch whatever you want on the big screens. It's more than a card room. It's a night full of fun with friends. Best Bet Jacksonville, Orange Park, and now the newest location here in St. Augustine, right off 95 at exit 311. A brand new clean room, a full bar and menu, my favorite sushi in town. And I love the fries too. You don't have to just play poker at Best Bet. That's why I come over here to the table games and play one card poker. That's a pretty good card and a win. One card poker is like war as a kid, you against the dealer. And this isn't the only fun table game to play. A friendly staff, a lot of fun. It's a good night out at Best Bet Jacksonville, Orange Park, and the newest location in St. Augustine. You can be a serious player or a novice. It doesn't matter. If winning equals fun, you're a winner every time at Best Bet. I'll save you a seat, and I'll see you down here at Best Bet St. Augustine.
A big week for the UNF men's basketball team, a sweep of Stetson and Jacksonville University. It was an overtime thriller over Stetson. That set the table for the River City Rumble, and Coach Matthew Driscoll joined the Brent and Austen Show.
But I think these two games are the creme de la creme.
UNF couldn't miss in the first half. 11 three-pointers jumped the lead to 25 points, but the Ospreys would still have to hold off a late rally. UNF comes back home for the men's and women's hoop doubleheaders on Thursday and Saturday at the arena. Also say hello to softball season as the Ospreys visit number 1 Florida on Thursday and then host the River City leadoff on the weekend. For more on the Ospreys, visit unfospreys.com. That's your Swoop Minute.
Just be yourself. Maybe we're talking about being a dad or a mom, a first responder or a teacher. Maybe it's a sports fan. We love those. We're talking about anyone in the Jacksonville community. At Community First Credit Union, just be yourself means being real. When you partner with Community First, it's straightforward. They're people connecting with you, so you can be yourself. I've been coming here to Community First for years. This is the Bartram branch, the one I usually come to, and they have mortgage loans, personal loans, and auto loans, and I'm almost done paying off that truck loan. Just a few more months. Good rates, easy online banking, and friendly customer service when I have a question. It's easy to be myself with Community First. They live up to the slogan in their name. Community First has partnerships in the Jacksonville community with the Iceman, the Florida Theater, the Jacksonville Zoo, and many more. Visit one of the Jacksonville branches or find out all you can do with Community First Credit Union at communityfirstfl.org so you can just be yourself.
Welcome back to the Brent and Austin Show, streaming on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network.
Nick Sirianni, they got him good, didn't they? And by the way,
with 2 minutes and 50 seconds left.
Is that green or yellow?
It's the same.
It's the same, huh?
Yeah, There's not two different options. It like, for instance, if you did a prop bet, that would be it's green / yellow lime. What is it?
That's what they call it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's the same.
So I guess that was an easy win if you picked them.
We didn't have many of those.
Yeah, I did. Listen, you guys. So what I did yesterday, I said, "Hey, give me your best props that you like." Austin and Hamby. And so let's see how these did.
I've already tallied it up.
It's so Hamby, and by the way, we all did like this one. We all like Pat Mahomes 5+ rush. It got to 5.5, so it was like had to be 6 rush attempts. He ended up having 4.
Right.
And he came so close a couple of times to being right on the line where he got sacked, which almost would have counted as a rush. Like that was still a pretty good bet.
Mm-hmm.
Both teams make 33+ field goals. I couldn't find that one on Hard Rock.
Okay.
So I couldn't even do that. Like I never found it.
Good.
Because that wouldn't have worked.
Yep.
Hurts anytime touchdown, boom, right off the rip because of the Dotson down at the 1.
Yep.
Over 2.5 players with pass attempt. We liked it. Didn't happen.
Well, because the Chiefs never were able to get into their offense.
Oh, actually, no, it did happen. What's his name threw a pass?
Who?
Pickett.
That's right.
Pickett came in the game. He threw a pass.
Wait, did you find that one?
No, I never found it.
Oh, my gosh. That was my favorite.
How about that way, getting that one in? The backup quarterback comes in and throws a pass. That was awesome.
Wow.
Worthy over 5.5 rushing yards. I don't think that happened.
He didn't have a rush.
Both teams convert 4th down.
Nope.
That didn't happen?
The Chiefs failed on theirs. They threw the out route to Hopkins when they had Justin Gray wide open.
Oh, yeah.
Because Mahomes was sped up.
All right. And then Austin said Mahomes over rush attempts, no good. Saquon over rush attempts, 20. That hit.
Yeah.
Devontae Smith over receiving yards. I think that hit.
I'm pretty sure he had 69. I can't imagine his over.
No, it was like 52. I want to say. Hunt over rushing yards. No go.
Not even close.
And this concerned me, and I should have
9.
I should have thought better. I thought they were going to use Pacheco more. Well, he didn't have running plays.
They ran 10 plays in the first half.
Yeah, that was it. So they never really even got a chance. And then Worthy over receiving yards and rushing yards combined, that did work.
Crushed it.
So what I ended up putting in actually, because I couldn't find all these. So I put one in for the show, and so I took the ones that I could find. It was basically a 5-leg parlay.
Oh, you did a parlay.
I just did them all together. I was like, all right, if we're going to do it, let's just do it all together.
No problem.
And so I had Mahomes over 5.5, so loss right there. I had Worthy. I did Saquon rushing attempts. I had Devontae Smith, and I did Kareem Hunt. And you know, it's funny. Now, I even lowered them. So, like, I didn't do them with their actual odds. I even got them lower yardage than even what their initial yardage was. And that still didn't work. Like, Hunt, all he had to do was get over, like, 25 yards.
Yeah, he had none.
And he couldn't get any. I think I hit everything else. It was actually just the Hunt. Oh, no, I'm sorry. And the Mahomes one.
Right.
But I had this in. It was funny. I was thinking, I had Hurts in as anytime touchdown. So, it was really a 6-legger.
Mm-hmm.
And it was to win whatever. I don't even know what it was. But I was like, you know what? Everybody loves this one so much. I'm hesitating. If we lose because of this, I'm going to be pissed. So I took it off, and you could still win a good amount for the 5-leg parlay. So I got it off. And, of course, first thing that happened was Hurts. That's why I don't bet for a living, folks, because it always happens that way. But I thought I liked them. And I actually did one other thing. No, I actually did 2 other things that I thought was pretty good. This one I loved. It was 1 passing touchdown, 1 rushing touchdown by each team. 1 rush, 1 pass, each team.
Didn't happen then.
Plus 200.
Yeah.
And Of course, it didn't happen because like the game flow sucked for that to happen.
But that's a good bet.
But I thought that was a really good bet at plus 200. Like, I never mind losing one if I think it's a really good bet. Like, I thought that was a good bet. And Mahomes got down to the 3-yard line late in the game on a run, and then he passed it in for the touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought that was I was like, wait a minute. Each guy's going to throw a touchdown, and definitely you'd think one's going to run in.
Right.
So this is kind of easy. And it wasn't easy because just the Chiefs stunk. I mean, the Chiefs threw off everything in this game because they didn't score.
It was like trying to bet on a Jags game on their offensive players this year. We can never get into any type of a flow because we couldn't ever convert on a third down.
Yeah.
So we run 10 plays in the first half, and then we're playing from behind. No rushers do anything. No running backs or quarterbacks do anything. Running the football. They can't do any gadget really plays because they just got to drop back and throw the football because you can only really run gadget plays if you're ahead of the sticks, right? If you're in 2nd and 3, 2nd and 1, that's really when you bring them out. They were running that all game. And then they're trying to run hurry up at the end and just dropping back and throwing it, and everything goes out the window.
Yeah. So what was the other one? Let me get to it.
Man, it felt like a Jags game last night.
Let's see. Hold on, I'll tell you. There was one more I did. Oh, what the heck? Now I got to log in. What the heck? Just kick me out.
I didn't do a single.
I've got no money left in there. I'll tell you that.
that tells you how they treat you. As soon as you're out of money, they kick you out.
They kick you out. Yeah. I was like,
had a few bucks in there.
I was done with it too, and I'm like, whatever, we'll do it. As we were talking about on the show, so I was like, okay, we'll do it. We'll try for the show. We'll have a good lunch, and I don't have to sell my house, but. Or get a loan, but I certainly don't. We're not having a good lunch.
Dang it. Rice and beans.
So the other one I did, I was like, I couldn't not do it. I kind of thought the Chiefs were going to win at the end of the day. I talked myself into the Chiefs winning. One, because I didn't really want them to win, I think. And two, I was just like, man, quarterback coach. How do you ignore it?
Yeah.
Right? Well, they had this boost on their 2 passing touchdowns for Patrick Mahomes and a win.
Huh.
And I'm like, well, that's pretty good. It was plus 210.
Yeah.
You're basically getting them plus 210 to win because if they win the game,
he's going to throw 2.
He's throwing 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
Right? Well, he did throw 2 touchdowns and they lost the game.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, okay, I think that's a good, again, like that's not a bad wager.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Boost.
I did. The boost you got to usually stay away from because a lot of the boosts don't hit. But I thought that one had a pretty good.
Brent, I think I saw 150,000 people tailed Dave Portnoy's parlay that he made.
I didn't even know. What do you do?
It was like a 4-legger.
Did he win?
No.
Oh, okay.
No. But 150,000 people.
That's influencing in a bad way.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then so the other one I did that I thought was pretty decent. And again, this was more. I
thought you said you did one more.
No, I'd get 2. Austin.
This is 3.
Yeah, I ended up doing 4. What I'd have 1, 2, 3, 4 overall. So Kareem Hunt and Jalen Hurts over 40 yards rushing. And again, I should have went but I was going to Austin. Austin usually got a good feel for this.
Yeah.
And he liked Hunt, obviously. Yeah. I was like, okay, I'll go with it. 40 yards, that's not bad. And Jalen Hurts, 40 yards was nothing.
Right.
Like you kind of knew it was, and I don't know what he ended up with. What he ended up with, like 70 yards rushing?
Yeah,
but that was easy. Well, they just didn't give the damn ball to Hunt, and he never got any carries.
But it didn't matter. You still won, though.
No, I didn't win.
Both of them combined?
No, each. Each.
Oh.
But that was like a plus 300 one.
Yeah.
That was good value, I thought.
That's good value.
I don't think those were bad bets. That's my point for the show. But a hell of a lunch.
You never think they're bad bets. That's why you placed them.
Nah. Sometimes I'll make a bet. I'm like, what the hell am I doing? I'm like, why am I doing this? This is stupid. I will make that bet. Definitely will make that bet. But anyway, listen, if it wasn't for that game, at least I had something to watch. That's why people do this. Because that was not fun to watch.
Let's see.
At all. What are you looking for, Hurts?
I mean, the 2 biggest things that I think that people were betting on are obviously the money line, like the Chiefs, and then Saquon's rushing.
Yeah, this was the one to go under, wasn't it?
Whether you go over or under, I think that's what people.
It did go down too. It was like I think it was at one time 114.
Yeah,
it went all the way down to 111 when I saw it,
and he halved it.
He halved it. Yeah, you'd have been golden.
But
the easiest bet of the day
Would have been
was
his over-receiving
catches. It was like 1.5.
It's like that's why you look back and you're like, of course they're going to throw him the ball because they're going to find ways to get him the ball outside of just running up the middle because that's the only thing the Chiefs are going to be worrying about stopping.
Dang it.
And you didn't take it.
Why couldn't we? Why couldn't you just know it?
Why couldn't we just be Vic or Spagnuolo? And no.
I know. Good point. Or, those guys could win. That's why they can't bet. That's why they can't bet. You could definitely make it happen. Quick story from the scene here last night. We put a projector TV in the break room.
Yes.
The couch and everything. And it was a good scene. I was actually thinking you could probably watch it on our green wall right here as well. Probably could do something similar here in the network studio. But nice job by those guys. So they had a nice little Super Bowl party yesterday. And I just saw Emily Turner in there when I went in to get coffee. And I was like, Emily does our investigative reporting, as you probably know, for CBS 47, Fox 30. I said, hey, you putting anybody in jail this week? You never know what story she's working on. And she, I thought, had a good comeback. She's like, are you pissing off any coaches this week? I was like, no, I'm on my best behavior right now. We need to learn a little bit more about these guys.
Yeah.
So a little fun. Hey, you asked a question an hour and a half ago. I'm going to finally get to it. Who should the Jags take with the 5th overall pick as we sit here a day after the Super Bowl? This will change a lot. We'll do mock drafts. You'll get the combine that will sway you. A guy will lift it 35 times on the bench, and you'll be like, I love this guy. He'll run a 4.33. I love this guy.
He's running a 4.33.
I don't know. Just offense or receiver, somebody like that. But that's what's going to happen. We're going to ebb and flow. You're going to see mock drafts. You're going to be sucked in to groupthink. We know how this works, all right? I'm here for you. But as for right now, what do you like? And does it have to be a big dude? Because a lot of people are saying the corner from Michigan. Is that Will Johnson, right?
Will Johnson. Great player, but I'm saying I told you all in November, that it was Mason Graham and that I wasn't going to change, and you couldn't let me change even if I wanted to. Thankfully, so far, there has not been anything that's made me want to, and the Super Bowl helped that. And I saw it a lot on Twitter last night. Everybody's watching that defensive line and the performance from the Eagles and the pressures without blitzing, and everybody's coming away kind of with the same idea. Holy cow, this is what it looks like. This is the great neutralizer against the dynasty, against the coach and quarterback. If you don't think you can top the coach and quarterback, then the only equalizer is a nasty D-line where you can also play coverage on the back end. So with that thought, it's not like, okay, yeah, did the Chiefs get dominated last night? Did they look like they were kind of, washed in a sense? They played their worst game by far. Do we fully expect them to probably be back next year, at least right there in the picture in the AFC Championship? Yes. Okay, does anybody ready to put our coach and quarterback, even in the next year or two, barring anything unforeseen, on level with those two? No. If you do, you're crazy. If you do of any team, you're crazy. What's the great equalizer? What's the best and the quickest way to be able to match and compete with that? It's the D-line. So a lot of people are kind of hopping on that train of thought with they're praying that Abdul Carter falls, the edge out of Penn State, or Mason Graham, the defensive tackle from Michigan.
There's a lot of love for the other defensive tackle, Kenneth Grant.
Yeah, that would be a little bit of a reach. But the thought with Kenneth Grant is trade back, still get the playmaker.
Yeah. Listen, I would say the prevailing thought here is down to, I don't know, like 7 guys for the Jags at that 5 spot.
I think it's less.
But let's names that you hear a lot. And I'm going to throw Grant in the mix here just
okay.
Because it's that position.
Sure.
And you do get a little bit of this, and I know we're already seeing it on the chat, but you do get some. I've already seen some publications that go back and forth. And didn't somebody come out recently and said that they like Grant better than Mason Graham? Somebody reported that the Jags. It probably was. I didn't know where that came from, or I didn't know if it was Will Johnson that they were talking about as the corner.
I saw Grant.
Okay, so you got Grant and you got Graham as the big fellas, if you want to go that route. Do I think they would be going? Do I answer my own question and say they're going big fella up front? I'd say yeah. Now, there's a real good chance that Mason Graham isn't there at 5. There is that chance.
I'd be distraught.
There's a lot of mocks that have him gone at 4 and 3, and who knows. But if you can't, do you go Kenneth Grant or do you go in a different rate? There's also Travis Hunter, who, by the way, it looks like he's going to work out at the corner position, right? He's going to lean that way from things that I saw.
Right.
There's obviously the Arizona kid.
Tet.
Do we even know how to say his first name? We're just always going to call him Tet, which is kind of cool. McMillan.
I think it's Tetaroa.
Tetaroa, yeah. It's kind of a cool name.
T-Mac.
So McMillan is another one. So you got...
That's 4.
And then Will Johnson.
That's 5.
Abdul Carter.
Mm-hmm.
I would say 6 if he drops to there.
Right.
And maybe that's it. Maybe there were 6. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Am I missing anybody? I don't think I'm missing anybody.
No.
I feel like that's like... And so that gives you 2 corners, a guy that hybrid can play both ways.
Right. 2 interiors.
2 interiors.
1 receiver, 1 edge.
1 receiver, 1 edge. So I think, like YB400 says, goated QB has been exposed from a hungry forefront and lockdown secondary. And that's a fair point. Like if you look at, you can even beat the greats if you're good at that. How do you not look at that and say, just give me more? Right. Give me more. I don't care that you have Mason Graham. I don't care you have Devon Hamilton under contract. I don't Mason Smith, I'm sorry. I don't care that you have Eric Armstead, that you're finally going to play at the right position. I don't care that you even have 2 really good edge rushers. Because keep in mind, one conversation point this year, if you are moving Armstead back in, now you have nobody behind those guys.
Not a soul.
Right? You still have nobody behind those guys. So how do you load up and get the best 8? And you know what? If you have too many of them, so what?
So what?
You trade one away eventually, or you do, but you get hurt. Like it's okay to have too many of them. That's the point of the earlier conversation about the Eagles. They figure out a way to do it. The Giants figured out years ago a way to do it. You need to figure out a way to do it. I don't think now there are some offensive linemen too. If you really wanted to go that way, if you're worried about that side and you're protecting your quarterback and you're getting better up front for your running game and everything else, is that a sleepy pick here? That the Jags could go offensive line? Super sleepy.
Can't rotate them. I mean, you can, but you don't. You don't rotate.
Well, you're not going to rotate them.
Yeah, you can't do. You can do
but
that with
it's
defense.
not. Let me say this though: it's not their fault. This regime's fault that they signed Walker Little or brought in Anton Harrison.
But they're stuck.
Well, you might not be. Maybe you trade. Those are reasonable contracts, by the way.
Yeah, I know.
So I'm just saying they're not married to them, and I think we have to keep that in mind. So could that be a play? I don't think you can eliminate it. I really don't. If they had not signed Walker Little, how much would we be talking about left tackle in this draft at 5?
Huge.
Right? So I think we have to put it in the mix. I think we'd be foolish not to. How can you've got Tony Baselli in the front office screaming, this guy plays football the way I like to play football. You've got Liam Cohen screaming, we got to get better on the offensive line. Yeah, we can do it overnight, he said to us in a sit-down interview. We just got to get after it and do it. We want to run. We want those guys coming out of the huddle. It's the first thing you're going to see. He's an offensive guy. How do we just think automatically he's going to go corner or defensive front? I think that's foolish on our part if we don't put offensive line in the mix. So I think there's really 7. Now, you can pick your favorite offensive lineman. The first one off the board, I haven't looked at a lot of these offensive linemen.
It's Will Campbell.
It's Will Campbell, yeah. So
trade back and take Mykel Williams and Jalen Walker, pair them in the first round, both Georgia guys, edge and outside linebacker, just like the Rams just did with Fisk and Verse pretty much, and let's ride.
All right.
Just kidding.
Trade back guy already.
Just go get dogs. Just go get dogs.
just really recreate what Philly's doing. So anyway, I think it's fascinating. I think there's a lot of ways to go. But I'll tell you this. I don't think corner at 5 is the smartest play. But this thought crossed my mind. If I ask you, or if I tell you, at number 5, the Jags can get the next Jalen Ramsey, you're cool with it. Is Will Johnson Jalen Ramsey? Like, I have no idea. But if you feel a certain way about a guy, I don't think people knew Jalen Ramsey was Jalen Ramsey even when the Jags picked him. They knew he was a top prospect, but they had some doubt. There were some ball skill questions on him. He had like 1 interception in college. But they didn't question his talent. And I wonder, now it also seems like a floppable bust position in the top 10.
Yeah.
We've seen it before, so I think it is a little bit dangerous. Johnson, by the way, 6'2", 200-pound guy.
That's great.
I've got him going to the Saints in this mock draft.
At 9?
Number 9, yeah. Says he handled some of college football's best in 23, including Marvin Harrison and Rome Odunze. That will be some tape that these guys will watch. He was banged up a little bit in 24. But according to this CBS report, it says he's the number 2 prospect coming out.
Behind who?
The number 1 prospect would be Travis Hunter.
Okay.
Number 3 prospect they've got is Abdul Carter.
Okay, that makes sense.
They have a high grade of number 4 for Cam Ward. I'm surprised in their list of prospects that he would be 4.
Yeah, that's funny.
But Mason Graham's 5. So if you're looking at the top 5 guys, just from a prospect look standpoint, again, this is this guy's rank. Who knows? But it's funny. They have Hunter as a number 1 prospect. They got this guy as the better corner. He's got the number 1 prospect at the corner spot, which means
what's the
Renner
furthest?
from CBS, at least in this, it might not. He must have more as a wide receiver for Travis Hunter.
I mean, it's crazy that we're 10 weeks away, but what's the furthest you could see Travis Hunter falling? Like if I told you he was the 10th overall pick, would you be absolutely shocked?
Let me just see. Let me just double check, see what could sneak up through there. I would say I'd be really surprised if he fell that far.
Okay.
Because there's just not. I just don't think there are enough quarterbacks that could push him down that far. And then so I mean, I'm just looking at this mock, which is going to be pretty. I would think all these guys are going to be in the same area. You've got outside of Sanders and Ward, you've got the Mason Grahams, you got Abdul Carter, and then you've got McMillan and Hunter and Campbell, Jalen Walker, Will Johnson, Kelvin Banks, offensive tackle, of course, Michael Williams, another dog for you, and then Ashton Genty and Burden get into that 12 and 13 spot, at least in this mock draft, and then Kenneth Grant.
Genty.
So I think Grant could go ahead of those guys. Mike Green, an edge from Marshall's on this list. So who knows? Again, a couple months away. I would say that's hard to Travis Hunter with all the intrigue and everything else around him. And by the way, he's been a stud. He was a stud coming out of high school. He was a stud in college.
Mm-hmm.
Like, those guys don't usually miss. As long as he stays healthy, Travis Hunter is, and his measurables are stud-like. Yeah, there's no reason for him to slip that far with some of the utility you can get out of that position. So, yeah, I'm still intrigued by Travis Hunter here, especially if he's going to go play corner. Because then he can give you some wrinkles and have some fun on offense, plus the marketability of that is really fun. And I think he's got a little of what, he's got some edge to him.
Yeah, he does have the.
You know, he's got some edge, but I don't think he's like he's not a jerk guy.
No,
I think he's just got edge.
Yeah.
He brings that. And I like that. I think this team needs more of that. So there's a lot to like about Travis Hunter at that position. I mean, how excited would people be around here, like YB400 saying, you got Jarian Jones at the nickel and you got Tyson Campbell and Travis Hunter? Feel pretty good. Now, the thing about it to me, though, is like, look what Philly did. Philly got 22 and 40, they found corners. So why are we forcing corner at number 5?
Right.
Right?
Same thing we said about 17 last year.
Yeah, can you find the big guy there? Right? Can you find the big guy at 37 or whatever that is when you're picking in the second round? Maybe you can.
There wasn't a bona fide top 10 corner at all last year, though.
No, there wasn't.
Right.
No, obviously the drafts change in that respect. But it also gives you this isn't the only example of it. We can go back to the Okuda draft with C.J. Henderson and everything else. You can get your best corner in the second round out of that draft. So it's harder to get the big folks once you get past the top 15. It's easier to get those skill positions and still find some diamonds is the point. But, man, I do not hate the idea of Travis Hunter at all, like at all. And solidifying that back end, that secondary. Keep in mind right now, too, I'll give you one more thing before we take a break. I look at the Houston Texans in the division. Like the first thing we have to do in Jacksonville is look at the Texans. They're the team to beat in the division, or you want to look at the rest of the teams in the division. And we'll see how it shakes out from a quarterback standpoint and everything else. Maybe Tennessee or maybe Indianapolis end up with Justin Fields, and it feels a little bit different at the QB spot for those teams. But if we take Houston, all right, Trevor and C.J. Stroud, you got to be better. Offensively, you've got weapons on offense here in Jacksonville. You got to be better than the weapons in Houston. No problem. Defensively is where it gets real interesting. You've got two edge guys in Will Anderson and at least for a little bit more, Danielle Hunter. Well, we've got those guys too. In Jacksonville, you feel that way. The linebacker spot, now I feel like we've got talent. I feel like their talent's outperformed at times and led by Al Shire. But we've got the ability to hang there. We're paid a corner, but our corner hasn't played nearly as well as those two corners.
And they drafted Kamari Lassiter.
They just got Lassiter, and they obviously Stingley's become a really good player. It took him a little bit, but he's become a really good player. And so that to me is where you have to match up with Houston to be like chess piece versus chess piece. Really good. I mean, the interior of the Houston defense is fine, but I mean, they got guys like Foley Fatukasi doing the job last year, right? So I would actually think if Armstead moves back in the middle, Mason Smith takes a little bit of a step or something, you've got a chance to be better in that spot, even if you don't touch it. But if you go get a top flight Will Johnson, Travis Hunter, now at least in your division alone, you're like, we can match up with you guys easy. We like this. Right? And keep in mind, Houston's defense, one of the best defenses in the league this year because of the edge and because of the secondary, primarily. And they got a defensive-minded coach. So I think you do have to go there and look there. I know we're looking at the Eagles right now, but the Jags would have a lot of pieces on defense if they solidified their secondary, at least from the corner spot. Still got a lot of work to do at safety. But if you can solidify it there, and you've got these two edge rushers, which don't lose sight on that, they've got something that a lot of teams don't have. And that is one thing on defense that they've got that a lot of teams would love to sign up for, are those two guys. And so now you solidify the secondary. You got to get right at safety. Maybe that's a free agent play. Maybe it's a draft play. Who knows? But you got to get right there. And then you hope your linebackers perform to the level you think they can. All of a sudden, this defense, not bad.
Right.
So I really do think, like, does the corner make you that good of a defense if you get it at 5? Or does the big dude in the middle have the domino effect to make you that good of a defense? That's a fascinating question, and one that probably can be answered in multiple ways for the Jacksonville Jaguars, and a lot of that is beauty of the eye of the beholder. What do they think of Mason Smith? How much gas is left in Eric Armstead? What do they think about Devon Hamilton? Those are things that they have to answer and what they look at and to see how they want to play. And once they evaluate that, they might lean toward, hey, we really have a hole at corner. And that's where we got to go get the stud. Let's go get a stud. So that part to me is really interesting, what the Jags do. But I think we feel defense is the point coming off the Super Bowl. We think the Jags need to go defense. And yet we're all like, ooh, man, if they got McMillan, that'd be pretty cool. But didn't we just talk ourselves totally out of McMillan is the point?
Right.
Doesn't it feel that way?
It seems like it.
But you can get McMillan, and you don't have to go get a T. Higgins or any of those guys that you want to get.
You have your own chasing.
You got your own guy at a young price, at a cheaper price, and a younger age, and you got BTJ and that guy. A lot of different ways. Talking about that GM hire? GM hire is a big deal. You got to go make that. You got to go make the case for whoever, make it with conviction, and you got to be right. Bottom line is the Jags didn't have to get Brian Thomas Jr. last year. If they had stayed and got Jared Verse, they would have been right. So whoever you take, you just better be right. We'll be right back.
When it's time to get a new car for anyone in your family, just remember, nobody but Nimnick, the #1 Buick GMC dealer in Jacksonville. Get the latest price breaks on 2023 and 2024 models or the newest 2025 vehicles in the showroom on Phillips Highway or shop online at nimnickbuickgmc.com 24 hours a day. GMC Sierras, Yukons, and the redesigned Acadias, or get the all-new redesigned line with Buicks. It's nobody but Nimnick, and part of the reason why is this is a first-class buying experience here at Nimnick Buick GMC. You're not just a customer, you're a friend. This is about getting a vehicle that best fits you and getting you on the road, and also helping you and your family down the road. Nimnick has a treating you right guarantee, courtesy respect, fairness. The most Buicks, GMCs, and Jacksonville's only Car Bravo dealer, nobody but Nimnicht. Who has put in the most years and stands behind a better experience? Nobody but Nimnicht. GMC. We are professional grade.
I've been telling you about CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing for a long time now. Their drinking water systems remove up to 99% of contaminants. We've had a Connecticut water softener and drinking water system in our home for more than 7 years. You can see the difference whether you're washing clothes, the dishes, or what I like to do most, fill this up for some coffee every morning, and mostly all day. Remember, if you're not filtering your water, you are the filter. Don't be the filter. Right now, you can save $500 on a Connecticut Premier Softener and get a free Connect Salt Monitor with purchase. The experts at CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing will test your water for free and determine your water score. Don't know your water score? CGC will find out and recommend the appropriate Connecticut water treatment solutions so you can improve it. Call 904-552-1242 or visit cgcwater.com. Ask about our 90-day love it or leave it guarantee. CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing, an authorized independent Connecticut dealer. Florida license number CFC 1432579.
The rhythm of my heart is beating like a drum, with We Armada rolling off our tongues. Never will we roam, for we know our place is home. Where the ocean meets the skies, we be sailing. Where the ocean meets the skies, we be sailing.
When it comes to trucks, I know exactly what I want. And at Bozard Ford, they make it easy to get exactly that. Let's go make this truck a little more my style. With Bozard Built, I can create my perfect truck right here. Lift kit? Check. Premium wheels? You bet. Advanced lighting package? Oh yeah. The Bozard team works their magic. From bumper to tailgate, I'm making this truck mine. It's everything that I wanted and more. From the field to the gym to weekend adventures. This truck's built for my journey. Bozard Built. Customized for your lifestyle, built to exceed your expectations. Check out the inventory and available options at bozardbuilt.com. Unleash your dream ride. Customized, covered, and Bozard approved.
If you don't see a pit, it ain't legit. When you hear that, you think Bono's Pit Barbecue, a staple in Northeast Florida now for 75 years. A place that feels like home with friendly service, a meeting place for friends, family, or business occasions. On the menu, the corn nuggets are a favorite in our house, but there's something for everyone. Sandwiches, platters, salads, sides, desserts, and family feasts. You see Bono's all over the place in Northeast Florida. You know, there are almost 20 locations in the Jacksonville area now, so stop on by, sit down, and dine in with Bono's. You can also take it to go. There are drive-thrus in many of the locations, and they have delivery options too. Just download the Bono's app to make things easy. I signed up for the loyalty program, and you can too, to get special offers. If Jacksonville is home, few things feel more Jacksonville than Bono's Pit Barbecue. Celebrate 75 years and many more to come. Bono's Pit Barbecue. If you don't see a pit, it ain't legit.
Welcome back to the Brent and Austen Show, streaming on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network.
I guess this whole thing was, if I caught it correctly, she got booed by all the Eagles fans in there. I would assume.
By everybody.
I think it was by the Eagles fans. Let's be honest. You said it was a heavy Eagles crowd, right? Did I see that correctly? Pretty sure. Somebody said I'd never seen it so lopsided, but Taylor Swift. Travis Kelce. Is Travis Kelce going to retire?
No.
I kind of feel like he will. Kind of feel like it will. What do we got here? TPC Sawgrass. A little golf cart ride at the Players Championship Media Day. Looks like we're heading up the 9th hole, if I've got this right. That feels like the par 5 9th. Yeah. There it is. Hope the guys are on the green. Probably didn't get there in 2. A little tricky to do. Got Cesnik probably carrying the way. I think he can hit it a little bit. And if we have anything go wrong today, we're screwed.
Yeah, this is good that we got Cesnik on. The man behind everything.
Yeah, we got an extra spot over the weekend, and I was like, you know what? Cesnik does a lot for this place. We're going to get him out there. And he loves playing golf. Oh, he loves playing golf. I bet he's played TPC before. But yeah, he likes playing golf. He actually just got a new set of clubs last week, which is dangerous now if you're playing golf and you're just playing TPC Sawgrass for the first time with a new set of clubs. Look at Weber. What's up, Weber? Can't hear him. Wonder who the caddy is. Good guys out there at TPC Sawgrass. We got everybody on the green, it looks like. I don't know how long it took us to get there. Usually the format is you'll take the best drive, and they will then play the ball in and kind of have your own shot at it, which is cool because you want to be able to play the golf course. So that's like a shamble format, not the true scramble where everybody lines up at the same putt. All right, Cedric, a lot of pressure on him right here. Can't do worse than Marcel did, dunking it in the water. A live look at TPC Sawgrass. Greens are rolling nice. Did he hit it?
Oh.
Hit it, Alice. What they say on the golf course, Amby.
Uh-huh.
Do you play golf at all?
Not really.
Really? You will eventually. Kids love playing golf these days. Not bad, 2-putt. There you go, Cezek. He probably doesn't even know he's live. But, all right. Hopefully the boys are playing pretty well out there at TPC Sawgrass. They have the golden typewriter they had to return today, and I'm not sure if they'll cheat and win again or somebody else will cheat and win, because that's what happens at those things. Brent Martineau, Jason Hamby, Austen Lane, back here on the Action Sports Shacks 24/7 network. Yeah, Dietrich to make a run at the Players. Hadn't even heard of that guy. Actually, I had heard of him, but big win at TPC Scottsdale and blew away the field. And that's a good field. So heck of a win, first time win on the PGA Tour. We'll see the Players Championship in just a week. Can't wait for it. One of the great events, obviously, in town. Hopefully we got this kind of weather. Getting great weather this week. Hopefully it's just as good the week of March 11th. Which is coming soon for the Players Championship. So make sure you get your tickets. And by the way, you can help out folks like North Florida Junior Golf Foundation. If you go buy tickets through them, they get a portion of the proceeds. So it helps out charities, and we support North Florida Junior Golf Foundation and many of the charities. So wherever your heart lies, do it. But we'll tell you, NFJG is a place that you can buy tickets, and they sell them. And again, some of the proceeds go back to the charity, which is pretty cool. Same goes for our Action Sports Shacks Dream 18 card, and you might want to get on that sooner than later. We've sold a bunch of the cards, and we've got some left. But the reason I say that is you have until the end of February to use the card at St. John's Golf and Country Club. Only January, February this year, because they are renovating the course coming up this spring. And it's a great value if you use the card at St. John's Golf and Country Club here by the end of February. So if you purchase it next couple of days, we'll get it to you within the week, and then maybe you can go play on the back half of this month. Easy place to do it. Action Sports Shacks, Dream18.com. Action Sports Shacks, Dream18.com. It's only $49. Trust me, folks, it's the best value in town, and everybody who plays golf knows it. And we've been selling a bunch of them. So we wanted to create good value, want to get some good love to the course and get you out playing some golf. So everybody wins in this, including some of the charities that we support, St. Michael Soldiers, North Florida Junior Golf Foundation, as they get a lot of the proceeds go to them in our Dream 18 golf tournament later in the year. So get on Action Sports Shacks, Dream18.com, but do it soon. Now, you can do it at any time of the year. But to get the most value out of the card, especially with St. John's Golf and Country Club in the mix, you have to use that one by the end of February. So make sure you jump on, get a card, play some golf. We've got some great weather now. Great time to get out there and play some golf. What's the other teams? Who are on the other teams going for the typewriter? I don't know, Mr. Hugo. I don't know the team makeup. I'm sure it's some of the other stations usually invited. Maybe the Times Union has a team. Some of the local radio stations as well, and maybe some other publications too that usually cover the Players Championship. So I'm not really sure who exactly is out there. I know our team, and I know the makeup of our team, and I know handicap has to matter or cheating has to matter. One of the two. But if you're not cheating, you're not trying to win. I respect it to some degree, unless you beat me because you cheated. Hey, last night, Josh Hines Allen asked, who do you want to pick with the 5th overall pick in the draft? And then did he delete it? Because now I can't find it.
Yeah, I can't find it either.
Did he delete it? Why would he delete it?
Oh, I got it here. He said, Duval, who y'all thinking we pick in round 1? Who y'all want?
Oh, there it is.
220 comments.
How did I miss that? Okay, so it was interesting, right?
He should have done a poll.
Yeah, I mean,
but he can't put names out there.
Well, yeah, he probably shouldn't do a poll.
Yeah, actually.
So, I mean, it was interesting because to me it was all Mason Graham and Will Johnson when I saw it last night. Well, this was like the first. I saw it right away when he tweeted it. And so he had, I don't know, like 30 responses right away. And it was all that. And then you did have a Tet McMillan one in there, but not a lot. It wasn't a lot on the offensive side. So it was heavy defense, which was fascinating to me because it came off the game. And so everybody's thinking defense, look what they just did. And it's not a bad way to think. I think that's an appropriate way to think. I think we'll move off that. But I think we should remember that. But we'll move off that concept, that idea. It won't be so fresh in our mind, but today it is.
Yeah, after Tet runs whatever he runs, he'll come back.
Listen, there's a bunch of intrigue with that guy. Get Cohen his guy with T-Mac, BTJ, and T-Mac under Liam will feed families. Will Johnson, Mason Graham. Mason Graham, I think, though he said Grant, which would be Kenneth Grant, so I don't really know which one he wants. Arizona wide receiver. Offensive line, we do have an offensive lineman in here. Trade down 1,000%. My favorite thing is trade down. Like, you do need a partner to trade down, okay? You just don't trade down. That's not an option unless you have somebody. Tyler Warren, do you think there's interest at all?
No. At 5?
Not at 5. But even if they did move around, if they could, they're not going to take a tight end at 5. But do you think the Jags are eyeing tight end early in the draft?
No.
You don't?
I don't.
Which means you think Evan Engram is staying?
Yes.
Which will get us to Evan Engram in just a moment. But why do you think that so strongly? Because we've talked about in the last month or so, Kirk or Engram are both going to stay. Final year of the contract for Evan Engram.
I don't even know how much of it really even depends on Engram, to be completely honest.
Whether they pick Tyler Warren or not?
Yeah. I don't think, I mean, that's obviously a huge factor. I don't think it's the biggest. I just think based off of what we know about Cohen's personality and what he said, he's going to build trenches, and the only way that he, in my opinion, goes off of trenches is to go get a stud weapon on the outside. I think that's the makeup of his team where he had success with the Bucs.
Can't Warren do both, though? Can block it and catch it.
Of course.
So he kind of builds your trenches, and he gets you a weapon.
I don't think that, I just don't think that's what Cohen has in mind as far as trenches, even if it's not somewhat of a help. I mean, I know he's an unbelievable weapon. I just think that if Cohen was going to go get a weapon, it would be for the guy that's really, truly an outside player, can go make, down the field, one-on-one catches. And that's the only way he'd sacrifice for it. I think that's how he modeled, because how much of an upgrade in year one is Tyler Warren over Evan Engram?
I wouldn't say so, but it would give you flexibility to, I guess you got to make that decision first. So that's the other thing. It's a little chicken and egg here. You can't make the decision after you don't have the draft first. Mm-hmm. I wonder if it would be fascinating if they did the opposite way, how much things would change, right? I mean, it would really be interesting if that were to be the case. But because you'd have to make the move on Engram now you leave a gaping hole, and now you almost give you a tell, which then changes the way you can even maneuver up and down the board and everything else. Listen, I'm not predicting they're going tight end. I think they're going to keep Evan Engram here. I just think Tyler Warren is a fascinating one, and it's interesting that some people said, hey, yeah, go with tight end. But you don't feel tight end being the conversation point now that Doug Peterson's gone. Remember, that was such a conversation point, and now you don't get that. But I do think the ability to do both is something that probably a guy like Liam Cohen wants. He probably just also thinks, hey, we don't need to get that at 5 or 10 or 12. They're going to have other spots that are going to be more valuable in that 5 hole, or even sometime in the top 15, even if they were to trade down. But Evan Engram, I think it felt like, it just feels like he's still such a big part of this thing. And I think when we have these conversations about Kirk and Engram, you're like, how do they lose those guys? Like, I can see financially why they would whether restructure or get a little younger or do some things. And they're certainly movable pieces given the situation. But do you want to lose that? This is a team that's been missing something. You want to lose those two guys? You want to lose the edge that Engram has, how he plays, what his ability is, how he's a mismatch problem with a guy coming in on the offensive side that can create mismatches? X's and O's wise, like, do you want to lose that? No way. Kirk, when he's healthy, he's one of the best slot guys in the game. One of the best red zone slot guys in the game. Very quarterback friendly to your guy, Trevor Lawrence. Like, why would you want to? So it's an interesting conversation we have, but it's also a tough spot. Tough decisions need to be made, I think, for this Jags offense, because I really feel like Gabe Davis is going to be around. If they don't make a lot of moves on the offensive line, are they really running this back with Engram and Kirk and BTJ and Gabe Davis? Is that the way it's going to be? Is that satisfactory? Is that enough? So, like, these are real questions they've got to dive into once this GM is hired, and they're probably already talking about a little bit with Liam Cohen, Tony Baselli, the rest of the staff, and everything else. We had a chance, Liv Tasley caught up with Evan Engram yesterday at this Verizon Super Bowl Fan Fest down at Daly's Place and the Flex Field, and he covered a bunch of different topics, including the new head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Definitely excited. It's a new era, a new energy around, and definitely excited to get in there and chop it up with everybody.
This whole coaching staff got younger, it feels like, and they're
crazy.
all green.
Yeah.
I mean, you have a new head coach at his position, a new OC at his position, and a new DC at his position. What's that like for you as a player? Are you nervous? Are you excited? I mean, what's your mindset?
No, I think that's where the league is going now. The guys are coming in the league younger, teams are getting younger, and it's very beneficial for these coaches to be able to relate to the players. So I think you're going to see more and more. I think Grant, our OC, is younger than me at 28, which is crazy. That's new charted waters for me. So, but I've heard nothing but great things about these guys, and I think the biggest thing that stands out is their ability to relate to the players and motivate the players and hold them accountable as well. And I'm definitely excited about what they're going to build, and I'm excited to commit to it as well.
You have consistency at your tight ends coach and
Yes.
Coach Richard. What's that like for you to know that, hey, like, all these guys may be new, but I'm coming back to a consistent head?
That's huge, especially for the young guys in our room. You talk about Brent and you talk about Luke. I think we were always, in my opinion, and I'm very biased, we were always the most prepared position group every single week. And that's credit to Coach Angulo for sure. So I wasn't surprised that he stuck around. I think what he's done here since he's been here with the guys that we've had in our room speaks for itself. So I think it means a lot. We're excited about it. We want to win here really bad. So for us as a position group to stick together, it's a blessing, and we're excited about it.
Jacksonville, the community, Duval.
I like it. I ain't gonna lie. I like it. I know a lot of people are having fun with it. I liked it. Definitely, he made his stamp on his first interview, which is normally a good thing for coaches. So I loved it. Definitely excited for him, and like I said, looking forward to getting to know him.
It's a big year for you, contract year for you. Does that fuel your fire a little bit, or you just not even think about it?
Oh, I mean, everything, you were evaluated whether you're on your last contract, the last year of your contract, or the first. So I'm just motivated to win. I'm motivated to do anything that I can to win. I'm motivated to create a great culture and a great sense of accountability. So I think as long as I keep the main thing, continue to prove as a player and a leader and a teammate, all that stuff, will take care of itself.
That is Evan Engram, Jacksonville Jaguars tight end. Olivia Tasley catching up with him yesterday on a bunch of different topics. He looks like he's got some good energy to him. I liked it. I think there's a good, I left that conversation and hearing that last night on Action Sports Jax Primetime with, this dude is so entrenched here in getting it right in Jacksonville that you better not get him out of here. You know what I mean? Like they're like, that's the way I feel about Trevor. I actually feel that way about Kirk. I feel that way about Josh Hines-Allen. I feel that way about Trayvon Walker. I feel like that about a lot of the makeup of this team, especially those core guys that have been paid or have contributed a lot that want to get it right here in Jacksonville. You get the opposite sometimes where you want guys to get out. Hey, I want to go to Philly. I want to do this. I want to go somewhere else. That ain't the case with these guys. Evan Engram loves it here. I think he's thrived here. I think he appreciates that. I think he took a bet on himself, then got a handsome contract, and he's lived up to it. I know he got hurt last year, but still overall, he's been fantastic. And you need guys like that in the locker room. And I think he wants to be the guy that wants to be a part of it. Like, if you look at his resume, his toughness, his skill set, all of the ingredients of Evan Engram, and you're sitting there and you're Liam Cohen and you're this new GM and you're Tony Baselli and Richard Angulo and everybody else, and you're evaluating your roster. And you're like, how are we taking that out? Right? Like, why would we take that out? Mm-hmm. We're missing guys. We need more of this. Now, the only thing you ask yourself is you're coming off a little injury, the dollar rate that you're paying at the time, and the age. And he's getting up there in age, but he's certainly got stuff left in the tank. Like, this isn't like Travis Kelce looks like he's out. The tank's on empty, in my opinion. That's not the case for Evan Engram. He's not that old. So I think we got to be careful with age. But the business side of this says younger and cheaper, maybe. The logic side of what we have in Jacksonville says you need this guy. You know, this is the guy. This is the makeup of the team you want. And again, mismatch. How many guys are mismatches for the Jags offensively? I think if you use him correctly, ETN can be. I think if you obviously BTJ. And I think actually in the right way, I mean, depending on how you're running your routes and everything else from the slot, Kirk can be that guy, but Engram is certainly that guy. He's one of your mismatches that you have, and you can get him the football. So I think there's a ton of value in him still. I think he's talking like he is here, going to be here, wants to be here. I really thought the Angulo hire screamed to me that they're almost keeping him and keeping that tight end room. And we might be reading too much into it. Doesn't mean they have to. But he is under contract. That's one other thing to keep in mind. Mm-hmm. Like when these guys are under contracts, like, well, you got to assume they're going to be here. You can't just say, nah. Now, the final year of the contract gives you a little bit more flexibility mostly. So that is the case here with Engram. We'll see how it all works out with Evan Engram. But I love what he's saying. He seems very bought into it. And he has really done a nice job in Jacksonville. He did that under Doug. Doug always had this thing with tight ends. Can he do that in Liam Cohen's offense? Whatever that looks like. When you think of Liam Cohen's offense, when you think of Green Bay, when you think of the Rams, when you think of Minnesota, Amby tight ends seem to do pretty well there.
They're a big part.
Big part. So all of that screams to me that he's going to stay. Hey, earlier in the show, I talked about all the different things going on. We got you out at TPC Sawgrass today. The stadium course as the Players' Championship is a month away. Well, right before the Players' Championship is the Gator Nationals. It's the annual event down there at Gainesville Raceway, and it's coming up March 6th through the 9th. The NHRA Gator Nationals. You can get your tickets right now. NHRA.com is the place to go.
Right at your screen.
And you can see it right there. Perfect timing. Here in our mention of the Gator Nationals. Gator Nationals also will be the main sponsor for a Road to Victory Lane special coming up this weekend, Sunday at noon on Fox 30 from the Daytona 500. So we've got your racing season underway here with Action Sports Jacks. Go visit NHRA.com. Get to the Gator Nationals here in 2025. It's a great thing. If you've never been, it's a heck of an experience. You don't have to love it, know it, anything like that. And I know many of you do. But it's a fun experience to be there and hear that and see that 330 miles an hour, by the way, in live action, March 6th through the 9th. The Gator Nationals at Gainesville Raceway. Just go to NHRA.com. We're going to visit once again with Austen Lane in just a little bit. We'll come back all the way through 1 o'clock, talk a little bit more football here on the show as well, and catch you up with what's going on here on a Monday. And coming up tomorrow, we're going to take a good look, a closer look at Brian Thomas Jr., thanks to our friends friend Daniel Griffiths, who's going to help us out with some work here on the show. And that will be our first foray into some of his stuff tomorrow on the show. Brian Thomas Jr., a little bit of a deep dive, and how Liam Cohen will use BTJ to the best of his abilities. That's coming up tomorrow on the Brent and Austin Show, 10 a.m. until 1 p.m. We'll be right back here on the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 Network. It's one of the hot spots in the area.
Welcome you to String Sports Brewery out at the beach. Big crowd on hand tonight. The fans are here.
And now the newest hot spot at the beach is open. String Sports Brewery in Jax Beach has opened its doors with rave reviews.
We're going to be fans forever.
Cozy up to the bar. Grab a seat in the sports-themed restaurant, or grab a seat outside and feel that breeze coming off the beach as the weather warms. Just like the original location in Springfield, try the popular beer menu and come for lunch or dinner too, because the food is fantastic.
He's got some exciting news heading into 2025 as well. Christian Kirk.
It's where we hosted Jags Report Live in the football season, and the String Sports Brewery staff can't wait to host you.
Hey, welcome back here to String Sports Brewery. And if you haven't checked out the new location in Jax Beach, which many of you have, you got to do it.
String Sports Brewery, now with 2 locations in Springfield and now open in Jax Beach on Penman Road.
2024 provided plenty of memorable moments for the Jacksonville Armada on the pitch, including another conference championship game appearance for Tommy Krasanovich's under-23 men's team.
Ace it in the dying moments!
Debuting this year for the first time, the girls in blue, as the Armada fielded a women's under-23 side in the WPSL and made its presence known with some highlight moments.
Potential goal of the season!
Then attention turned to the future, with MLS Next teams representing the Armada badge in 3 age divisions this fall, including an under-19 squad ranking among the best in the state. Those teams are a big focus on Fleet and Footy, covering the big soccer stories each week on the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 network.
I'll put one in the back of the net for you.
Join us for player profiles, fun interviews, and the very latest on the Fleet and all things footy. That's every Thursday at 2 p.m.
Baker Sports is local sports. Uniforms from Pop Warner and Little League to travel ball, high school, and college. They make you look good. They help you play good. Baker Sports has been helping families make memories that will last a lifetime with their Baker's Buckets. We've got a lot of these filled with baseballs and softballs in the garage. I've been throwing batting practice to Ty and Kaylee for years, and also sit on the Baker's Bucket, catching Kaylee while she practices her pitching. Baker Sports is homegrown, and a lot of employees that used to play on local ball fields now work for Baker Sports, now helping you look good, play good, and make memories of your own. Visit Bakersport.com to see what Baker Sports can do for you. Custom apparel, Nike, Under Armour, Adidas, embroidery, screen printing, and more. Baker Sports is local sports, from Jacksonville to anywhere in the Southeast. Bakersport.com.
The Tom Bush family of dealerships, they've been serving customers in the Jacksonville area for 55 years. They've been your go-to spot to get and stay on the road since 1970, and that's still the case here in 2025 and beyond, even if the cars have changed just a little bit.
Check out the sleek line of vehicles of the future. That's right, electric vehicles. Tom Bush offers a full lineup of reliable electric cars with state-of-the-art service facilities. Like the new VinFast, Tom Bush is among the first dealers in the entire country to offer the VinFast, and let me tell you, this thing is sweet. The good folks at Tom Bush have all the info on charging, service, tax credits, and everything you need to keep your EV running smoothly. BMW, Mazda, Volkswagen, Mini, and the newly offered VinFast. There's something for everyone at the Tom Bush family of dealerships. Ready to join the Tom Bush family? Stop by the showroom or check out the inventory online at tombush.com.
Everyone loves a good game night. Here you don't have to be the host. You don't have to clean up. They bring the food and drinks to you, and you can watch whatever you want on the big screens. It's more than a card room. It's a night full of fun with friends. Best Bet Jacksonville, Orange Park, and now the newest location here in St. Augustine, right off 95 at exit 311. A brand new clean room, a full bar and menu, my favorite sushi in town. And I love the fries too. You don't have to just play poker at Best Bet. That's why I come over here to the table games and play one-card poker. That's a pretty good card and a win. One-card poker is like war as a kid, you against the dealer.
And this isn't the only fun table game to play. A friendly staff, a lot of fun. It's a good night out at Best Bet Jacksonville Orange Park in the newest location in St. Augustine. You can be a serious player or a novice. It doesn't matter. If winning equals fun, you're a winner every time at Best Bet. I'll save you a seat, and I'll see you down here at Best Bet St. Augustine.
Welcome back to the Brent and Austin Show, streaming on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network.
Another look at the Jags coaching staff. And again, now the GM stuff hopefully starts to fire a little bit and happens soon enough here in town. We'll see. Again, my prediction on the next Wednesday. Okay? That's my prediction on when that comes to fruition and the Jaguars have their staff. Brent Martineau along with Jason Hamby, Austen Lane, I think will join us here in just a little bit as he's getting out of a workout down in South Florida, so keep an eye on that. We've been checking in at TPC Sawgrass for Players Championship Media Day. The guys are out there and hopefully having a good time and a beautiful day here in Jacksonville. Good luck to all the high school baseball teams as they get rolling. Softball preseason starts this week. All the playoff soccer, boys and girls, basketball, boys and girls, all the other winter sports that are wrapping up. And now we're on the verge of the spring season, which will include lacrosse and girls flag football. I mean, man, that's some great. That's one thing in my whole thing about, I was trying to list every sport. When you do that, you're going to miss some. And I just thought of it. Flag football is another one that gets going. There's a huge event this week, actually, one of the biggest of its kind in Jacksonville at the Jags headquarters. Jaguars do a great job with that, supporting flag football. And we will begin next week our game of the week in flag football and girls flag football on Action Sports Jax primetime each and every Saturday this spring. So there's so much happening right now, which is really cool and fun. You can always check out all the different things we have here on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network. Just go to actionsportsjax.com. Easiest way to find it. We made this easier. And we're a year in, we made it easier to find it now. Used to have to say all these different things, and you can still find it in a lot of different ways. But the simplest way to find our network, even outside of our show, and find all the different things that we do, just simply go to actionsportsjax.com, and we'll have some articles up there. Like I said, Daniel Griffiths just wrote something on Brian Thomas Jr. We'll put that up a little bit later today. We'll talk about it tomorrow, but we'll have more of that kind of content going up. But you can actually see, right when you go to actionsportsjax.com, you can see everything that we do on the network, which today on the network, coming up right after our show, just to make sure I've got it, we've got Driven to Inspire. We also continue to replay some of the basketball games that we did back in December, so get you set for the high school basketball playoffs right now with some of that. And then 4 to 6, of course, we've got the Young and Norvell show here on a Monday, and you can see all the different action, including Miller and Moulton, each and every day, 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network. Just go to actionsportsjax.com. What about the Kansas City Chiefs now? Talk so much about the Eagles and the win and everything else. What about Patrick Mahomes? What about Andy Reid? Is it fair to say, like, as the greatness of Mahomes should not be dismissed on a game like this? We have said for 2 years, though, that they don't look elite. They don't look unbeatable. The crazy thing is they find ways to win.
Right.
And this wasn't a one-score game, by the way. So they still have won 17 consecutive one-score games. They know how to win. But they really felt mismatched in this game. Like, that's what we've been trying to say. The other part of this is their defense, which didn't do a bad job in the first half. They gave up 14 points off turnovers, essentially.
Right.
They are still the strong point, in my opinion, of this team. So Patrick Mahomes, yes, the greatest quarterback in the game. Nobody's denying it. But what I would say is, and we had this conversation last night, he wasn't even close to the MVP this year. Like, it wasn't even close. It wasn't even in the conversation. And are we taking him for granted, or are they just not that dynamic on offense? He's not the 40-point-a-game guy anymore. Their offense is not 40 points a game. They just don't have those ingredients to make them look like the Baltimore Ravens, the Philadelphia Eagles, the Detroit Lions, the Buffalo Bills. Heck, and even the Cincinnati Bengals. Like, these offenses are way better than the Chiefs, in my opinion. And is there a little bit of a combo act going on with what we just saw with Doug Peterson's offense, which is obviously Andy Reid's offense, and that this offense is not leading the league anymore?
No.
And you can have a great quarterback, and you can win games because you have a really good defense, you have a really good coach, and all those things, which they do. But it's not 5 years ago when everybody was trying to catch up to what you were doing. They've caught up and maybe passed, and the game has changed, where now we're talking about Minnesota's offense, the Lions' offense, the McVay system offense, which, by the way, we just got here in Jacksonville. And looking at what Doug had done, where they had won 15 out of 20 games in a little over a year span. And then it just, partly because of injury, partly because of players, but partly because maybe the scheme was exactly what Shad Khan said, pretty predictable. Is that a bigger issue for Kansas City is my point? Or is this just, hey, don't worry, they'll be right back in the middle of it? Is their offense a problem?
Well, first of all, their offense is not a problem. Their running game is a problem right now. They didn't have anybody to run the football. Pacheco has not been the same. Kareem Hunt's he's done. If anybody's done, I think it's Kareem Hunt. And props to him, and he deserves a lot of credit for how he's continued to come back. He would only but the Chiefs are the only team in the NFL that he would be on. Similar to what we've said about like guys with Jacksonville, like Balky, the Jags would be the only team that he's a GM for, because it would only happen with Shad. Well, Kareem Hunt would only be in the NFL because of Andy Reid and because of the Chiefs. We've seen them do this with multiple players. Okay, they should prioritize a running back, in my opinion, because they've got to be able to run the football. Their passing attack is not dead. Mahomes is not dead. He's not washed. Kelsey's still got more, but Kelsey cannot be your number one option anymore. And as they emerge with Worthy, like with any other team that's not the Chiefs, you would say, well, their best receiver is a rookie. He's going to really continue to get better, and watch out for what he does next year. As long as they add pieces around him to supplement, he's going to be great. But we expect, Worthy to be, we don't see Worthy in that same light as a rookie at all. So if they fix the run game, their offense will be back to normal. That's what they have not. That's what they've missed the most. That's why, the reason they were getting sacked so much, 6 sacks or whatever in pressure, because they were in 2nd and 9 and 2nd and 11 because they couldn't run the football for anything. And they had some injuries, right? Joe Thuney playing outside, playing left tackle when he's really a guard. That's a big deal. Because it's the Chiefs, we don't allow for that to be a big deal. You know what I'm saying? But any other team, if their guard's playing left tackle and they have injuries on the offensive line, we would talk about it. But because it's the Chiefs, we don't.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the offensive line is I guess a problem on this stage. I don't really look at there as a major problem all the rest of the time. I think what we have to consider is how much is Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes making up for what they do on offense. I think that's what we have to consider. And so I'm looking it up right here. And the eyes are going fuzzy. 22 points a game this year was good for 15th in the league. Their defense was 4th in the league. They're 15th in the league. Last year, 21.8, 15th in the league. Year before that, this is where things are totally different in this run. 22, number 1 in the league. 21, number 4 in the league. 20, 6th in the league. 19, 5th in the league. 18, 1st in the league. 17, 6th in the league. So they went, whatever that was, 6 years in a row, top 6 in the NFL in offense. Now they're 15th. They're 15th and 15th. What does that say? I think they've actually beefed up their offensive line at times over that stretch.
Right.
Yeah, they lost Tyreek Hill and they weren't as dynamic, but they replaced with other guys. They have an aging Kelsey. He's been aging the last 2 years. In the regular season, he's been not even great in the last 2 years. And he really wasn't good the last 2 weeks, 2 games. Did nothing against Buffalo and did nothing last night. I think he's done. I really do. I think
is in retired or like done being really good?
Oh no, I know he's done being really good. I think he's done. I think he's retiring. I think he's out. I think he knows what you got guys like that. They know what great is. He's going to be 35. He just looks slow, and he can still come up with a big play. But a lot of guys could do that. I think he's done. Unless the overriding factor is I just love being a part of this. I want to go back. I love these guys. He said it. He's having fun. I just think when you're that level of a player, you know when you're not at your best anymore. And look, they're trying to Band-Aid things with him hanging on. DeAndre Hopkins, shell of himself, what he's been. He's not that guy anymore. Hey, look, Glenn said the same thing. I didn't even see that. But now I did. It looks like I stole it. So I do wonder about this offense of the Chiefs, and I wonder a little bit about even the brilliance of Reed and Mahomes can't overcome it, and also about the scheme a little bit. Do they have to change things up? Austin, welcome you back in from South Florida, and listen, I know you're a big Reed fan. I don't want to put too much weight on one game, but I think we've asked around here, is the offensive scheme for Doug Peterson, Shad Khan, the owner, called it predictable. Other people call it predictable. Other people call it stale. They are the 15th ranked offense in the NFL with the best coach and the best QB in the game in Kansas City the last 2 years with this offense. Do they have to reinvent themselves some way? Or is it just the parts aren't as good as they were when they were 6 years in a row, top 6 in the league? But they are nowhere near offensively, it doesn't seem like. The Ravens, the Bills, the Lions, the Eagles, maybe even the Vikings. Like, it doesn't feel like that's this kind of offense in Kansas City anymore. They're very reliant on the full complement of an entire team led by a defense that has been top 5 the last couple of years.
Yeah, I mean, this offense, see, to me, it has evolved, right? Like, year in and year out, it has been different. But to me, this one glaring factor, and I get it, you know, they didn't exceed expectations this year. Like, still into the Super Bowl, still a pretty damn good team, but obviously they didn't win it and everything. And listen, that like scheme can only get you so far, right? And I think this year the Kansas City Chiefs, it truly showed that. We hear these big names like DeAndre Hopkins. We think of Smith-Schuster back in his prime. We think of Hollywood Brown. We think of Travis Kelce of old being a fantasy darling. And a lot of these guys this year, they just weren't that. So, you know, honestly, man, if you take their skill positions, tight ends, wide receivers, I'm not sure if they're even cracking the top 20. I mean, you take Patrick Mahomes off that offense, you take Andy Reid out of that offense, how many wins are they putting up? Probably not that many. So, yeah, I agree with you. I think there's got to be some retooling. I'm not going to question the play calling. I'm not going to question Andy Reid in terms of, you know, setting them up for success. I just think it was a situation where you had maybe some good names on paper, but obviously when it mattered the most, it just couldn't deliver.
Yeah, and listen, that's fair too. I don't want to, I guess it is a little bit of an overreaction, but I don't think it's a true overreaction. I think we've been curious about this for a bit now. Like, we know the defense. I've tried to say this many times, but you got to be respectful to Reed and Mahomes and their greatness, that this team is led by their defense. They really are. Their team the last couple of seasons has been led by a defense that has kept them in games and given the greatness of Mahomes and Reed the opportunity at the end of games to win it, and Kelce along the way too. So, and they've done it, and it's brilliant. It's amazing, like, what they've been able to do. But I just don't know. I think yesterday really exposed, like, maybe where their roster really is, especially on offense. Like, you can't overcome that. And honestly, the numbers showcase and the eye test showcase, they are not cruising on offense like they once did, and they're not cruising on offense the way some of the teams in the National Football League are. And it's funny how it shifts in the league, right? I mean, we go from running backs have no value, they should get paid minimum wage, to the running backs now have a lot of value. Like, you're throwing it all over the yard. The defenses are extinct, and now the defenses are back. Like, this shifts fast in the NFL. Is it a drastic shift? Maybe not, but it's a subtle one, and I think we're kind of in the middle of that, where whether it's roster build, scheme, people have caught up, I don't know, but it might be a blend of all of it. And it just makes you wonder, Where do the Chiefs go from here? Are you going to pick them again next year because of the Chiefs? Or do you think the Bills and the Ravens have hardened themselves to now take over or now get by the Chiefs? Or maybe it's the Bengals, who obviously are really good on offense. They make changes on defense, and you're like, wait, I got a lot more confidence in that than I do what I'm seeing in Kansas City. Where are they going to be going into next year for you?
I mean, listen, if you look at their roster, like Kelsey looks like he kind of lost a step a little bit, right? So how much does Kelsey really have left in the tank? I mean, is this an offseason where he takes it upon himself, try to get in the best shape of his life and try to have a rebound? I think any other team, I would say this Chiefs team would take a drastic step back. But I almost thought the same thing when Tampa Bay blew them out, because we all thought, oh, wow, their offensive line got absolutely manhandled. You can't turn that around in one season. Like, it's going to take some time for them to bounce back because they got their butts kicked in the Super Bowl with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Well, what happens? They retool, they regroup, and they keep going back and back. So I'm not going to say necessarily that they're the favorites to go back to the Super Bowl, but I don't think the drop-off is going to be as vast as some people might think it is now, because after what that game looked like.
The happiest guy, right? This game is probably Tom Brady. It feels like he had Mahomes before the age of 30, breathing down his neck to be like right in there, notch above. Like you can't put him past Montana just yet now. And now where does Brady fit versus everybody else? Well, it's Brady and everybody else. And hey, it looks like we go. You got it. I think I don't think Brady. Well, maybe he does care about this. I'm trying to think, like, does he care that if Mahomes is coming to catch him or not? I feel like in the broadcast he's very respectful of that. He admires what Mahomes has done. But I do feel, in a sense, like we stopped that conversation for a little bit until you win 4. And now you wonder, like, with so much friction in the AFC, although we have wondered for the last couple of years, are they going to be able to get back there? Now is there going to be a little bit of a gap between the time when they get back and win another one so we can have the conversation again? Oh, look at this shot from Stuart Weber. Did somebody have a long drive? We got long turf chunked.
I was wondering what that's because so I've been hearing everything that's been going on that golf course when you've been talking, Brent. So I had no idea what was happening. Now I got it. Okay.
Yeah, we're at TPC Sawgrass. We got Media Day once again, and there is Weber. I'm not sure if we're going to try to check in with him. He's still smiling even after that shot. He can hear me, but I don't think we can hear Weber right now. So I think Hamby's going to have to try to figure that out. You guys look good. What a day out there at TPC
Stuart,
Sawgrass.
I don't think they can hear you. I can hear you, Stuart, but they can't hear you. I don't know, man.
You can translate. Yeah. That's the way it works, Austin. Like, you guys can hear each other on the same platform, but we can't.
Okay.
So that's why you guys can hear each other. You're both calling in on the same platform.
Do you want me to translate for you, Brent, or am I like the middleman here? How are we doing this?
Yeah, I don't want to do that. I think that would be cumbersome to the listener, and we're probably already doing that, and the viewer. But Hamby, yeah, show us something else. This is the 11th hole, by the way, par 5. We keep catching them on par 5s. So we've got the 11th hole, and now we get Stesnick with the new clubs. Hamby's like, I can see him working in there trying to figure out the audio of this, Austin, and he can't get it to work.
Can you tell him to turn down the audio on the golf course,
can't.
please?
He can't.
Fantastic. Cool. Okay.
You're going to have to go with it. And
can you hear him now, Austin?
We just go in silence now? I don't.
Yeah, he turned it all down. What are we waiting for? Oh, Stesnick's going to go for the green in 2. Yeah, he's got the 3-wood out. New clubs. I don't know if he just got new irons or just he got the whole bag. But he's going.
I'm not going to lie. I didn't know Stesnick had that like this in his wardrobe here. Did he borrow it from somebody, or is this like?
Yeah, I don't know. He.
I think he heard me. My bad, Stesnick. I mean,
that's okay. We can talk a lot of garbage to him. He's got water on the right, trap on the left. By the way, in about 230. To the green.
We should be able to hear him now.
Oh, it sounded good.
Sounded flush.
That sounded good with pressure on.
Sounded flush.
What are we thinking? Stuart, give us play-by-play. We can hear you now.
All right. Hey, guys. We doing? Everybody good?
Yeah. Hey, this is great. A year later, we still can't figure this out. This was one of the first things we did on the show. But now we got it. Hamby figured it out. So
I love that.
A lot quicker than last year, I think. How's it going out there? It looks like a beautiful day.
Yeah, it's gorgeous. It is. Yeah, it's absolutely gorgeous. You know, we had a little cloud cover to start the day, and now we're out here playing. We're having some fun, man. We're getting ready for the players. We're excited. Course is immaculate, as it always is, as you guys know. Yeah, it's the golf has been a struggle, certainly, but you know what? It's all about the struggle and the grind, right, Marcel?
Hell yeah, it is.
There he is. So
you guys look good. You guys look really good.
Yeah,
First of all, let me tell you something. One thing I'm always going to do is look good. Let's not act like that's a surprise, okay?
All right, here you hold this.
I look better than I'm playing, I can tell you that.
Well, that's not a surprise either, Marcel.
Marcel just had like the ultimate cameo smile, like it was like the Kendrick concert last night when he mentioned Drake. Just comes in out of nowhere with that smile. Beautiful.
Yeah, it's good. It's, you know, look, there's like some real golfers out here with like a camera crew and stuff. That ain't us. You here?
Really? Like, why?
Yeah, man.
What do you mean? Like pros or media people?
No, like social media people, I guess, are really stepping up their game and bringing like actual full-on camera crews.
Yeah, they got the dude, I don't know his name, but some long driver guy, I think, is out here.
Oh, Kyle Berkshire's out here.
Okay.
Right?
Wait, so like, is this whole tournament being taken over by influencers?
I think it has, yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh, you hate to see that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you do. It should just be us locals who are awful at golf. And no, there's actually like people here who are good at golfing, and it's frustrating.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
Can you tell Marcel that, by the way, like they put fertilizer and stuff into the ground, so like when he's got that side of the tee in his mouth, it's probably not healthy.
Yeah, there's a lot of not healthy things about Marcel's golf game. That's okay.
Stuart, can you confirm? Have you seen the Costco guys yet there at the tournament? Are they influencing? How many booms?
I have not. I haven't seen them. Although Marcel did just get some Costco wedges, so maybe we're sponsored by that. I don't know.
Maybe you guys getting close.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. He got new clubs and he bought them from Costco?
He got some new wedges, some new Kirkland wedges.
Okay.
All right. There you go.
Who's your caddy?
I don't know. Kirkland made wedges.
Here, flip it around.
Oh, this way.
There you go.
Oh, there we go.
Beautiful.
What's up,
Got a
caddy?
good look at that caddy, though.
Yeah, good looking caddy. I tell you that.
Hey, Brent. I mean, obviously, I'm
I can't wait to see this shot.
Yeah, I'll get in there. You guys get a good, nice little view here.
Try to go over the water, Weber. I mean, the hell? He's gonna stick it right into the grass here.
Ooh.
Fat.
Heard there was a lot of sand. Heard a lot of sand.
He got out.
So heavy.
That's all right. He got out.
Brent, now you're the golf expert of the show. How do you feel with golf clubs coming from a same brand that makes yogurt and ice cream?
Yeah, I would say he needed clubs. He needed clubs.
I think we're running out of time here.
Now listen, I love the Kirkland golf balls.
Shot here.
All right, come on, Marcel, dial it up.
Hey, Mia, you mind if we have Marcel go here before we run out of time? All right, Marcel, let's see what we got.
Yeah, Mia, you work for the wrong place, so we're going with Marcel here.
Literally has the same clubs that are made with 2% milk. It's unbelievable.
You get a hot dog with these clubs?
Oh, that might have been one of the best shots of the day.
There's a hot dog right there, Brent.
Yeah.
There's a hot dog right there, Brent.
Dude, you can't do that on the show.
It was behind the hand. You couldn't see
behind
it.
the hand. Good.
It was behind the hand. People at home don't know what that was.
What are we doing?
Brent,
Did that clear the water, Weber?
Wow.
What's that? No. That was good.
Wow. All right.
That went to the far side of the fairway over there.
All right. Good luck the rest of the way. Have fun. Thank you guys for checking in. Austin, we'll do it again tomorrow.
I hope so. I hope we don't get shut down.
Look at Marcel. He looks good. Looks a Georgia glove on. I think.
Hey, the pants are good today. We're good. We got no rips.
Pants aren't ripped this year. Have a good one, everybody.